Hey everyone, you're listening to the official podcast of 4PlayerNetwork.com. Check us out at that address for everything you need to know about our community, monthly giveaways, and nightly live streams. You can even support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4Player. And last but not least, you can catch the live recordings of these podcasts every single Thursday night on our Twitch channel. We hope to see you there. Enjoy. Hey everyone, welcome to 4Player Podcast episode 687. It is Thursday, July 8th, 2021. My name is Nick Henderson. I'm your host this evening, and I am joined by Brad Simons.
Hello.
Nolan Hedstrom.
How's it going, everybody?
And Christopher Davis.
Hello, hello.
And we are finally ready to start. We had some technical difficulties before the before the recording, you might say. Chris Davis is ready to roll over and die.
The string on his can was a little loose.
Oh, man. So, yeah, it's video games, right? That's why we're here. Some stuff has happened, I guess, since last week. We've played some video games, new and old, and we're going to talk about them here in a second. But before I do that, how's everybody doing? Everybody cool? Anybody watched anything worth talking about?
I watched F9.
Oh, how was that?
Really?
They go to space.
That's not true. Is it?
At this point, 9 movies in, I'm certain that's the next thing, if not.
Well, define space. I mean, if they're in the upper atmosphere, that's technically space.
Orbit.
There you go.
Wow.
International driving a rocket strapped to a car to the International Space Station.
Jesus
Wow.
Christ.
They blast a muscle car into space. Is that what you're saying?
I didn't say it was a muscle car.
I feel like the days of Fast and the Furious where they're driving muscle cars is really kind of a thing of the past.
No, there's plenty of muscle cars.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah.
Vin Diesel only drives muscle cars these days.
Yeah, that's all he does.
Oh.
Have
So
you? Did they set up the next one? Fasten your seatbelts.
I don't. Where do you go after space? I don't really know.
Mars.
Well, I don't know. I mean, if someone had told me, like, asked me to predict the future of the Fast and the Furious franchise back in like 2 or 3, I never would have said, "Oh, I know, I got it." Being chased across like ice with a submarine, you know, I never would have gone there. So there's still plenty of fertile ground, if you will.
They
for that
drove
franchise.
a car into space.
Vin Diesel will drive a muscle car back in time, and they'll CG in Paul Walker.
I mean, they've already done that.
Oh yeah.
The best part about
of.
the Fast and the Furious franchise is it's so obsessed with having all these connections between like all the different films. The timeline is very bizarre because Tokyo Drift happened after like the 3 movies that followed, and during Tokyo Drift, Han dies, right? But then he's alive in the 3 movies that come after, right? Because they come before. But then they retcon it all, right? They retcon and they're like, no, he doesn't just die in a crash. Jason Statham killed him.
Wait a second. Yeah.
They had to retcon that and reshoot that scene. And now in this one, they're like, no. Not only did Jason Statham kill him.
Are you about to spoil F9?
He survived. And it's like, just let him go, man.
Yeah.
What do y'all... Let him go.
Wait a second. I got a question. I got a serious question because the biggest part of the marketing for this, I feel like that I've seen has been like, Han is back, right?
Yeah,
but like,
which is absurd.
He was back in 3 movies after. Like, I thought he just hadn't been seen since Tokyo Drift.
No. The end of Tokyo Drift is like Vin Diesel shows up to like race, and because he's like, y'all heard about Han, he was family, and that apparently that was so important to the creators of the Fast and the Furious franchise that they had to make 3 prequel movies with him in it. They didn't have to do that. It's insane.
Well, Brett, Jason Statham didn't try to, I mean, he had, I guess, kill Han, but it's because Han shot first. So that's why.
God damn it.
God damn it.
They're using flip phones in Tokyo Drift, and that's supposed to take place after the movies where they have like smartphones. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, I feel like the ship kind of sailed on like wanting it to make sense a long time ago. But did you enjoy F9? I guess is the
They
question.
go to space. Of course, I enjoy it.
You said that both times that I've asked you if you enjoyed it. You didn't stop to tell
sorry,
me.
very specifically, and I'm sorry this is spoilers. Tyrese and Ludacris go into space. Not all of them. They couldn't all fit in the car.
But the car went into space.
Yeah.
Do they go ludicrous speed?
Well, yeah. Otherwise, they wouldn't
damn
have
it.
been able to, get
One
to
more
orbit.
fucking pun, and I am ending this fucking podcast right the fuck now.
If you think that's the last pun you're going to hear on this podcast, we're only like 5 minutes into this thing.
Then it's going to be a very short show.
They're literally duct taping their space suits as they're about to get launched into space.
Did they just keep those in their trunk or something? Like what?
Well, they're good at getting things.
The only thing I remember, because we were talking in Discord a lot about just like, have people gone back to the movies and whatnot, and how was your experience? And I remember someone saying, I went back to the theater to watch F9, and someone said, was it worth it? And he said, hell no. And I was like, okay.
I didn't want to interrupt you, Nick, because you asked if they kept their spacesuits in the trunk. It's because it has a lot of cargo space.
God, fucking damn it! Get out of here, Nolan.
I really hate the emotional manipulative like trailers. Like, you need to go back to the movies. This is why you go to the movies, and it's like actors telling you how much the movie going experience is important to watching films, and they just want you to cry and buy movie tickets. It's kind of embarrassing, but
I can't remember. Had I talked about? Yeah, never mind. I did. I saw A Quiet Place 2 in theaters last week, but I forgot if I talked about it. All right. I started watching The Sopranos. Almost done with the first season.
Don't get me started on that one, Nick.
One episode. Hey, it's a lot better than The Wire. I'm just kidding. I really don't feel that way. I just wanted to.
It seems like you don't really love either of them, which is the worst part.
I've watched almost an entire season of the show in like 4 days, which is pretty good, I feel.
You also watched a season of The Wire.
Yeah, like 4 years ago over the course of like 6 weeks. I'll give that one another try after I get through The Sopranos. But anyways, that's neither here nor there.
Is everyone caught up on Loki?
No.
Yes.
No, but I watched season 1 of The Mole.
The
From
Mole?
2001. Y'all never watched The Mole?
No.
I've never even heard of it.
Anderson Cooper hosting.
This is
one
of these terrible reality shows that Brad always.
What are you talking about, dude?
Right?
This was right after the Survivor boom, back when they still cared. Okay, it was a very different show back then. Different kind of show back then.
Bernadette and I are watching Big Love, which is
God.
a show where Bill Paxton's a polygamist.
How's that?
Okay,
it's got Bill Paxton in it.
And there's a lot of people. Aaron Paul is just showed up on the show. There's a lot of people from like Silicon Valley. I say a lot, a few. There's a lot of like random people who I guess early 2000s all kind of making their debut. It's interesting.
I've always been kind of interested in watching that, but I had never really talked to someone who had seen it. But you vouch for it.
I mean, we've seen the first season, and like I think we're an episode or two into the second season, and so far it's pretty good.
Cool.
It's very not progressive, but I think that's the point. It's because they're polygamists that have broken off from like Mormons. So it's very women know their place and stuff like that. And the women are like, yeah, we know our place. And it's like, okay.
Sounds about right.
The women are very pro. So but I mean, once again, I think that's what they're going for. But still.
Absolutely.
So, Brad, you're saying that The Wire is a good TV show, right?
What?
Are you kidding? Every GIF Brad has ever used on the internet is from The Wire.
Okay. Because it's $50 on Amazon for the entire series on Blu-ray right now.
I saw that, and then I remembered I thought about it for a split second. And I
don't like The Wire.
Well, I remember that, and I remembered that I also have HBO
Nick,
Max.
I almost wrung your neck through the internet. You're like, I'm still waiting for something to happen on The Sopranos. When's the villain going to show up?
No, it's not what I said.
Like
first of all, that's not what I said. I said the first half of the first season of the show doesn't seem to have like a clear cut like arc. Like I don't know what I should be focusing on. It's kind of going in all different directions, and I was waiting for like something like like an actual like story that I could like follow that was like that I felt was worthy of like a season of television. That's why it's like usually I watch a show and I'm like, okay, they introduce a villain or there's like some kind of like obvious arc that they're going to focus on for a season, and I wasn't really sure what that was for the first like 6 or 7 episodes
The
of
arc is
Sopranos.
Tony
And,
Soprano,
no, oh, right,
and
but
the
like the
hook
arc.
is the extraordinary acting on the show. And but let's
You're
just
right. The
let's
arc that I'm talking about comes into focus is like him butting heads with Junior and like that like struggle for power, and that like, doesn't really become super obvious as like it's going to be a major part of the show until like 6 or 7 episodes in. That's all I was trying to say. But you know what? I'm on board. I have 1 episode left for the first season. I'm digging it. I'm gonna keep going.
Are you watching this because they're coming out with
Anyways.
a movie?
I was. It's always been on my list to watch, but it was
I watched that
kickstarted when
trailer. It's just weird.
I became very interested because I watched the trailer for the movie, and then I was like, I should probably watch the show before I watch this movie. So the short answer to your question is yes.
Okay.
But I was always going to. But now I'm doing it now. Anyways, video games. That's what we're really here to talk about. And I don't really know where we want to start tonight. Maybe, you know what? Fuck it. Nolan. Are you ready to talk about house flipping?
Oh, okay. Let's talk about this game.
I wasn't even sure when you posted this in the doc. I was like, is there an actual game called house flipping, or is he flipping a house right now and that's just something he put in his doc? That's what he was doing.
Did you get this
House
on
Flipper.
Steam, Nolan?
Yeah. So you can have access to it, Brad.
Nice.
I learned about this game quite a while ago, and I had it on my wish list. And I think a while back, I think it was like April Fools. They put it on sale, and like I guess the joke was they had from Dragon Ball Z the Kame house, like Master Roshi's house. And I was like, what? I'm like, that's a joke, right? But then like it's real. And I was like, fuck. And so I ended up buying it. I can't remember how much I bought it for. I don't know, like less than $10 probably. I got it for pretty cheap. And I never really got around to playing it like I do with 9/10 of my Steam library.
Yeah.
But I finally decided to pick it up, mainly because I was looking for something mindless, I guess. And I will say that a majority of how the game starts is kind of that. You have like kind of a little rundown place, not dissimilar to what you see if you're watching us live behind me. And then you're kind of given like odd jobs, like almost like a handyman. It's like, hey, come, clean up this house and fix the lights. And so you go, and it's like very simple. And I think that the whole thing is there's like a tutorial section where you earn money by doing simple jobs. This actually is what you're seeing. I believe actually I'm doing if you're watching the footage of us live, I'm doing the final job on my jobs list. Where someone had a big reno. It's like five bedrooms. I'm doing all this stuff. You're painting, you're putting down tiles in the bathroom, all this stuff, and fixing it up, and then you get money. And then that's kind of where the game begins. Because now that you've accrued some wealth, you can start buying houses, renovating them, and then trying to sell them. And so the whole point is there is like a group of like people who are out there wanting to buy homes, and you're trying to create a house that would be appealing to them, so that they would bid on the house. What's up, Nick?
Do you have much control over like what kinds of jobs you do or where you do things, or is it kind of like this is a checklist of everything and it's already kind of predetermined and you have to just go do it?
Okay, yeah. So that checklist is predetermined, to my knowledge. I highly doubt it's like procedural or anything. It's literally like, oh, my grandmother died and we inherited her house. Can you please fix it? It's a kind of stuff like that. And you go and you just have literally a set of tasks. If you can see the footage, there's actually a progress bar, and you can kind of finish early by not completing every single task as long as you hit like a threshold. But if you finish all of them, you get more money. And so I wanted to make sure I finished all of them just so I could get the max amount of money I could. And then, like I said, that's where the game begins. And so I've flipped 2 houses now. in which like I said, you just buy it. It's very run down. You have to throw away trash. You have to vacuum up roaches.
Vacuum up live roaches.
Yeah. Well, so the game is nice. If you don't like roaches, they will replace the roaches with broken glass, so you don't have to look at roaches crawling around.
Because that's marginally better.
Only marginally better.
Yeah. So you actually, if you're watching the footage, you can see that I actually did buy the Kame house. Yeah, and so I went there and I was kind of exploring it and stuff. But you see that it's not the Kame house; it's actually the Make house.
Is this a Steam Workshop thing or like official?
No, this is official. And
oh my god, he's a slob.
Yeah, dude, right? But
Master Roshi's like 180 years old. Like
he brings ladies to his house.
So when the game starts, all of your equipment is very bad. You have like a very shitty, like it's not even a mop. It's like a really crappy broom. Your paintbrush isn't very good. All this stuff, and so kind of gamifying it. The more you use your skills, the better you get. So when you mop a bunch, you eventually get like a better mop, or you can mop faster or farther away. Blah blah blah, stuff like that. What's up, Nick?
I just want to. I can't let this comment pass. I just love that Prince of the Universe just said, if you replace the roaches with the glass, does the glass crawl around?
That's a good question. I never replace the roaches because I don't mind them. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it just crunches when you walk over the glass. But yeah, so you get better at painting. You can paint more, paint faster, all this stuff. There's you do repairs, you do demolition, so you can knock down walls to really open up the space.
Hey,
DPH
can I pause real quick?
Oh, go ahead.
What's that?
How do you feel about roaches in real life? How does everyone here feel about roaches in real life?
I fucking hate them, dude. They give me the fucking willies.
Did you just find a Dragon Ball?
No, they just make my skin crawl. That's all.
Yeah, they don't call it a Dragon Ball, Chris. They call it something else. But yes, there's 7 of them. And that was the first one I found, and now in the rest of the footage, you'll see me trying to hunt all the other 7, or the other 6 rather.
Brad,
in regards to roaches, what's up, Nick?
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, answer the roaches question.
No, I was gonna say, in real life, no, I do not like roaches. I'm not going to cuddle with them, but I don't go like running from them. I did have a bad experience when I was a kid, where one started like crawling up my leg when I was like just sitting down watching TV.
Yeah.
We actually, it's funny we bring it up.
Brad?
2 weeks ago, we found a roach in our house. The first time since it's like 4 years we've been here, and we found the first roach, and I like freaked out. Thankfully, it was an American roach, so they aren't the ones that like spread like very like rapidly. But yeah, German cockroaches are the ones that, and I
tell me about it.
I didn't name them. God damn it, Brad.
Dude,
are the ones
worst?
that. What's up, Nick?
Fucking when I lived in the apartment I lived in before I moved in with you, Nolan, I think it was. We found a water bug in our pantry, which water bugs are basically just roaches, but like 4 times bigger. It was like this big, and its like antennas were like almost twice as long as its body. It was horrifying, and it's like, when it rains outside, they just go inside to try and find places, and it decided to make a home in my pantry.
That's what happened here, because for those around the Austin area, I've been getting a lot of rain the past like month and a half, and so I've had on multiple occasions I found like trails of ants crawling up the side of my house, and then like I said, we found that one roach. Thankfully, haven't found any more. We do have a pest person that comes like every quarter or something like that sprays like the house.
Nolan finds all kinds of crazy shit, right? Like you found that snake in your backyard
I didn't find a snake, Nick. I found like a 4-foot rattlesnake. Yes. That is a little different from a snake.
Very different.
I've lived in Texas my entire life, and I've never seen an actual rattlesnake in the wild.
Well, go out to the country, for fuck's sake. You've been in Austin.
Walk 5 minutes in any direction, you'll find a rattlesnake.
Yeah, you go out into the country, you'll see all kinds of horrifying shit.
I'm sorry, I'm not like in an urge to rectify that situation, so I'll just keep doing what I'm doing.
Hey,
you can go to the snake farm.
This is on topic, off topic, but have you ever played the game Viscera Cleanup Detail?
Mm-mm.
So it's a game where you're kind of like cleaning up after like the Doom guy just went through a level, and you're cleaning up all like the gore and stuff.
That's pretty
Okay.
And
cool.
it's the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
You have like a mop and a mop bucket, but it's like a hilarious physics game where you keep like it's very easy to like knock over your fucking mop bucket and like make it worse, right? Or like you're
No.
trying to clean your mop or you're trying to clean up shit, but you don't like rinse it out enough, and there you're just smearing blood everywhere, and it's just like a comedy of errors as you're trying to clean up a fucking Doom level or whatever.
Yeah,
It's
that'd be
pretty
right up
good.
your alley,
Interesting.
Nolan.
Yeah.
Probably.
But this is like
And it's
the
co-op
opposite
too.
end of that spectrum. This is because that game is built from the purely from the like you said comedy of errors like inspiration. This is more like
Yeah.
someone really likes flipping houses, so they're going to gamify every aspect of that. Which is
Yeah.
it seems like this is because the other thing that's kind of hot right now is the power washing simulator. It's like the same
Oh, yeah,
same
it's very
inspiration.
much like that.
Did
Very
you
much.
wish Krillin back?
Dude, yeah. I don't know if you saw it. There's a note in the kitchen that says, oh, I can't remember what it says now. I looked at it at one point when I was playing, but it's like uh, something about clean something, find the 7 whatever they call them balls, and then it says like bring back Krillin or revive Krillin or something like that. That's a part of like the to-do list in the kitchen.
That's pretty awesome.
But
Why have fun
getting
with
back to
that.
the game itself, there's other DLCs which I don't know. And one's like focusing on gardening. Another one where I guess they did like a deal with like HGTV. I don't own any of those yet. I actually got an email from Steam today because they're apparently both on sale. But like I said,
There are Property Brothers DLC.
I don't think so. Not yet, at least. Bernda has actually been playing, I would say, like at least 90% of this game with me, if not 95%. Which is kind of like the fun part is we'll like kind of pick out like the design, because like all of this stuff is that you've kind of been seeing me do in the footage is like there's requirements. It is paint this room royal blue, paint this room glacier white, all that stuff. Now that we're like kind of flipping the houses on our own, it is like whatever. The game does not tell you do something. And so it's kind of been us like saying, hey, what should we do with this? Let's kind of figure out blah, blah, blah.
That's where the fun. That's the fun part, I think.
That's the actual game, yeah.
Yeah.
And so you kind of see some people on the left-hand side, and you'll see they're like kind of like likes and dislikes. Like people, like there's like a family of 4, and so obviously they're going to want multiple bedrooms. They're not really going to be interested in a house that has like 1 bedroom and 1 bathroom. And there's a guy that like I was kind of designing that house, and like the first one I bought was like the cheapest one, and so it just had like a single kind of living bed area, a bathroom, and like kind of like a tiny kitchenette. And that's all that was there. And so, I was like, oh, well, this place definitely needs a TV. So I had the bed there and I threw the TV up on the wall. And one guy was like, ugh, I can't sleep with the TV in my bedroom. And like, he kind of like all of a sudden disliked the house. Yeah. And so it's like, okay, well, if I ever want to sell to this guy, I need to keep that in mind that obviously no TVs in the bedroom. But this other guy is like super big. He's like, oh, I love TVs. Could use a few more speakers though. So he wants like speakers and stuff. And like, there's all this stuff that you can kind of like design and try and customize a house for somebody. I don't know the gamification of that yet. I don't know if there's like a particular person or family that will pay more or.
This is a family of 4 that doesn't believe in privacy. No
There
doors.
should be a home theater expansion, like you laying like speaker wire and setting up satellite speakers and things like that. That'd be great.
I'm sure people would be down for it. But yeah, so I like I said, I've just been enjoying it mainly just because I can kind of play it mindlessly. It's not like I'm not.
Here's the question.
Scary.
No.
Here's the question.
So, hold on. I will say,
if you had to clean it while like phasmophobia ghosts were haunting a house? That'd be cool.
That'd be interesting. What's your question, Nick?
Has playing this made you want to do certain renovations in your own real life home as you're playing it?
Yes and no. There are definitely things that I've been putting off in my house for 4 years. And so there are things that I want to do to the house. I wouldn't necessarily say I've gotten a whole lot of inspiration from this. There's been a few things I've done where sometimes the task list of stuff in a house is like, oh, paint this room these 2 colors. And so in theory, I could have 90% one color. I could have like 99% one color and like a stripe of the other one. Technically, I've met the requirements. Paint the 2 colors. The game is not super picky. But I try to do something like, like put like an accent wall or something like that. I don't have any accent walls in my house, but that's something I've thought about a little more. Like maybe I should do an accent wall.
Your house kind of looks like shit, so
Thank you.
probably. You should probably do
Are you, are
something
you, are
about
you
those
saying
balls.
you're saying I should flip my house, Brad?
Well, maybe
You know,
like you got some exposed brick back there. Oh, well.
what if you could tear down the house to like the fucking foundation and then just rebuild your own real life house, like the exact same floor plan, and then just use
Mhm.
that as like a way to like kind of imagine what you want, like plan your like home renovation. You know what I mean? Just like I'm
Sure.
gonna build my actual house in the game and paint it all these colors and install all this shit
So,
and just see what
so,
it looks
so
like.
that's actually something I talked about with Bernadette. Like, oh, well, let's try and do this, but unfortunately, you can't. You can, I believe. Don't quote me because I haven't tried it yet. But I believe you can rip down every single interior wall of the house. But I do not believe you can do the exteriors.
I think
So
Red
kind of.
Light Chat said you can definitely do that. I think. I remember
Um,
he said it a few
so,
minutes ago in chat.
so like I said, like you can rip down every interior wall, but I don't believe you can change the actual outline of the house. So kind of there are certain houses you can buy, and it's like that's the outline it is. You can't do anything about that. But I haven't done any of like the larger homes. But this game does have some more of like they have like the home from Home Alone is in this game. There's a
Yeah,
couple of
there's
other
that.
more like kind of famous homes.
So Red
I
Light
just haven't gotten to them yet. Mhm.
Red Light in chat apparently plays this game a lot, and he had two interesting things to say. He said, one, I think this is in response to what Brad said earlier. Said there's actually one house that quite obviously a murder occurred in, blood all over the place, and no matter what you do to the settings, it's always nighttime. Uh, and then he also said they have a VR version of House Flipper, and he bought it since he enjoyed the non-VR version, but he only played it about 30 minutes because, believe it or not, it was too immersive. I was like, this is too much work. I could actually be cleaning in real life. And I
I can
find that to
imagine
be
that.
fascinating. Find that to
Yeah,
be
I
fascinating.
can. So that is one thing I will say is like it is not. I think there's been a few houses I've kind of renovated or fixed in this game, like the main like the tutorial, let's say, in like 10 minutes. But there was a couple that close to 2 hours that it took me to do the whole thing. The one me and Bernadette were just working on, we played it a little bit this afternoon. Uh, I think I was close to 2 hours that we had spent trying to like fix everything, and it's not. It's kind of one of those situations where we're kind of not even done yet. So yeah, I could imagine doing that in VR, getting very old pretty quick.
Damn. Well, this is pretty cool. I kind of want to play around with this myself.
Oh, I didn't
Uh,
even get into the fact you saw a little bit in the footage, but you saw me kind of like installing an AC unit. There was one house I did that had gotten flooded, so I had to repair or replace all of the sockets that were on the floor, all the outlets. You have to install, like I said, like installing stuff, installing radiators, installing AC units, installing toilets and showers, and actually kind of putting all the screws and stuff into place. Like it gets pretty in depth in some points. There's a
sounds
particular
exhausting.
shower unit that I have started refusing to install because there are way too many steps.
That's
But yeah,
man. What a
yeah.
world. This the things that we turn into video games are quite hilarious. All right.
Yeah.
Where do you want to go from here? Brad, you want to talk about this is your game you've wanted to talk about for a few weeks, I think. So,
Well, it's been out for some time now, and let me be honest with you, I kind of don't want to talk about it
oh shit.
because I
All
don't
right,
think
moving
anyone
on.
wants to hear about it.
I don't even know what it is.
Griftlands?
Griftlands. Yeah.
I think I've
Ew,
talked
isn't
about it
that
on the podcast before.
is Griftlands? Is that the card one?
Yeah, this is from
Yeah.
Clay
Mm-hmm.
Interactive. Clay Interactive, the makers
Damn.
of such hits as as Mark of the Ninja. I really like Invisible Ink. I think Invisible Ink was ultimately why I ended up wanting to try this game. Well, aside from the fact that it cribs a lot from Slay the Spire, which I love Slay the
Oh
Spire,
no.
but this is sort of Clay's take on Slay the Spire. This thing's been in development for quite some time. It was in early access for a very long time. I've kind of been waiting for it to come out of early access, and it finally did. So I picked it up. It's on Switch, and which is a great place, to play this sort of game. Even though a mouse and keyboard would have kind of made it nice, kind of like there's a lot of like things to hover over, tooltips to like read and stuff, and that would be a lot easier with a mouse and keyboard. So if you're the kind of person who likes Slay the Spire and you're curious about this and you are willing to sit in front of the PC a bunch, I probably do recommend the mouse and keyboard experience over that. I have played some on PC, But this kind of game is good on a handheld. I think the Switch version's fine. It's just going to take a while to get used to all the controls, to kind of hit the buttons you need to hit to get to the information you need to get to, because it's a lot of information and it can be very intimidating at first because they're throwing a lot at you. And I feel like a lot of people will get kind of overwhelmed and be like, "Ugh, this is too much," and say, fuck it. I almost did that, honestly. Because Slay the Spire uh, is sort of the opposite. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. To It's a pretty straightforward game, easy to understand, easy to pick up and play. This is asking a lot from you. The big twist with this game is that you have traditional combat where you're getting into battles, and those battles are very much like Slay the Spire. The one difference is sometimes you have like a party of people with you, right? You're kind of you're taking these jobs or whatever, depending on the character you take. You're aligning with certain factions and taking jobs, and you can hire people. You can get pets to kind of join you in battle. So it's not just one versus a group of enemies. It can be like a party versus another group, which just kind of separates it from Slay the Spire. But the other big thing is that you get into arguments as well. And what you're probably going to see for most of this footage is me doing argument battles, which you have a battle deck, which is very traditional Slay the Spire combat, kind of get them to lose all their hit points before you lose all yours, right? But in the argument battles, you have your separate deck, and you have like negotiation cards. You have like and there's kind of two types of cards that will show up as like a potential like negotiation in these negotiation decks. You have cards, you have like threaten cards, and then you have like compliment, not compliment cards, but kind of like the nice version of manipulating someone, right? And but I don't want to talk about this shit because here's the thing.
Brad, why don't you want to
If you
talk about
like
a game
Slay
if
the
you like it?
Spire, you've probably heard of this game. If you like Clay, you should probably try it. Like honestly, Clay makes a lot of amazing games, and Invisible Ink is a game that is super intimidating at first. It seems like information overload, but eventually, if you stick with it, you're gonna get it. You're gonna absorb it all, and you're gonna start understanding all this shit. And the thing that was like hard and an issue before is no longer an issue. You're just seeing the matrix code, right? Nick, I know you played Invisible Ink, right? You could probably attest to
I
this.
loved Invisible Ink and Mark of the Ninja. I thought those were both brilliant games. What
Sure.
was the name of the game that kind of they made their name on? It was part
Shank?
of Shank.
Shank,
Yes,
yeah.
Not Shank.
Shank.
The one they really
I
made their
just couldn't
name
remember
on
it.
in terms of like really big breakout success was Don't Starve.
Oh
That
yes, I
one
keep
really,
forgetting
really
that's
blew
them.
up. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean they've actually made a ton of shit and they're still making shit.
There still are. That's kind of unbelievable.
But like this shit's like really fucking clever. Like I'm playing this character for the first time. Like Slay the Spire, you kind of have like three different characters, and I finished the game with the first character who was a lot more straightforward. But now I'm playing a character who he's like kind of a retired, um, kind of like a retired like a retired officer sort of, and he's kind of like, I don't know, maybe like a Han Solo type at this point, but he has a coin that he's like constantly flipping, right? And one of his like core mechanics for these negotiation battles is he's always like flipping his coin, and whether you're landing on heads or snails,
Uh,
it'll affect what the cards are doing basically, and kind of building your deck around like, okay, I'm going to make a snails deck, a tails deck that's going to focus on me landing on tails a lot, right? And then you start getting cards with abilities that start influencing rigging the actual coin flip so it lands on what you want it to more often. And then later in his campaign, you can like swap out his coin for other coins that will do different effects and stuff that will like maybe always land on tails, but you might have this other negative effect. It's air snails. It's like there's so many cool ideas in here, and you could tell like really smart people put this game together. And once you get it, it's fucking great. It really, really is. So many good ideas. Like these argument battles. At first, I was like, I don't want to do this. I just want to play regular Slay the Spire battles. I understand that. It makes more sense to me. This is confusing because like you have all these like arguments floating around and they're attacking different things, and again, information overload, and at first you're not going to get it, but when you get it, it's good and it's well made, and it doesn't fucking matter, right? Because I'm not going to convince anyone who is looking at this and is like, wow, this is a lot. I'm not going to convince that person. The only person I'm going to convince is like maybe the person who's tried Slay the Spire, really likes it, and wants like a cool twist on that. But that's a lot of people. I mean, I would hope
I
that
do like the
that
idea of kind of recontextualizing the battle mechanics for, like, arguments and stuff, like, where you're using these decks to, like, I guess I guess it sounds to me like you're using the decks in those battles to, like, kind of turn a conversation in a specific
Well,
way, or
so when you're on these jobs, you often get into these situations where you might go into an argument battle instead of like a regular fight. You're often getting a choice, right? And
Mhm.
and the reason you might do that is because your negotiation deck might just be a little bit stronger, or you might have really low health and a lot of resolve. Resolve is sort of like your negotiation deck health, right?
Yeah.
And you get other little like perks and bonuses like as you play. Where I have it to where every time I win a regular battle, I get a little bit of resolve back, which is like my negotiation health. And every time I win an argument, I get a little bit of like actual health back for regular battles, right? So it kind of encourages you to balance the two and not just be too good at arguing and not very good at fighting. But you can kind of lean pretty heavily in one direction, but you might end up in a situation where you get into like a real fight and you just really can't hold your own. But you might be able to, you might have enough money to where you can hire on people to join you to kind of help compensate for that. The other thing is that that's pretty unique to this game versus other these deck builders, especially Slay the Spire, is that your cards, they have like experience and they level up, right? Every time you play a card, like a meter ticks up, and once that fills up, the card will upgrade. So if you're not playing your battle deck very often, it means your battle cards are not getting experience, which means they're not leveling up and they're not getting
Mm.
stronger.
It's kinda
So
cool.
so so you really do got to balance it. But the good thing is I like doing both, right? So I really like getting into arguments, and I really like doing regular fights. Now this is a regular battle. Now this is the first time I did a regular battle with this character because I had not played this character before. So I think a tutorial is going to pop up. But he has like a cool like his own unique battle mechanic as well that's very different from the main the main character, the first character you play as. But there's also a lot of story. Like it is a roguelike, and because it's a roguelike, everything's kind of procedurally generated. But they do some smart procedurally generation with all these different factions and all these people you're interacting with as well. And as you're kind of playing through this, it's like, oh, I might in a previous run of this game, somebody might have been my enemy, but now he's my friend. And if you kind of nurture those relationships, a status can go from like neutral to liked to loved. And if someone loves you, then they give you like an extra like perk in battle, which is nice. But vice versa, if you piss someone off, like if they hate you, every time you go into battle, you might have a negative perk. Versus like anybody from that faction. I think
Right.
that's how it works. And so you're kind of balancing not just your decks but also these relationships outside of battle as well. And the universe is kind of cool. There's like fish people and stuff, and it's
Sold. I'm
it's it's
in.
it's a well-made game. I'm just gonna say you got to get over that hump.
Y y
Maybe
you
watch
know,
some videos of maybe your favorite YouTuber playing the game. That might help, or just really stick through it.
I feel
Eventually,
like you
through
said that
osmosis,
about
you'll start to understand it, and it's really well made.
I feel like you kind of said that exact same thing when you were talking about Monster Train, maybe?
Monster Train
Like,
as well,
where you
yeah.
were like, "Find your favorite streamer or YouTuber and
Well,
watch a video of them playing Monster Train," which, makes sense,
Monster
the
Train
recommendation makes sense.
isn't. I would say Monster as intimidating as this is at first.
Mm,
They're throwing a lot at you, especially because you see all these like conversations. And you're like, do I have to like it with like proper nouns? And then you hit a button and you can read what that annotation is, right? And it's
right.
just a lot. And it's like, do I have to read and understand all this? And you don't really, right? I mean, it's well written stuff, and like the lore of the world's like pretty cool, but you don't have to worry too much about all that text at first.
Mhm.
You can kind of just get into these battles, get into these arguments, and kind of learn the system before you start worrying about the world, because you're probably going to die on your first couple of runs. And you know, eventually you'll understand how the game works, and then you'll start just kind of enjoying the world and the writing and the relationships, and then that, once that follows, you're just kind of having a good time. It's a
It'll
really
carry you.
really well made game. Again, if you like something like Invisible Ink, it's a very different type of game, but you see Clay's, like, oh, there's a lot of ideas in here. They put a lot of thought into them, and like the way all these things like kind of interact with each other is really cool. Is really smart. Like,
I will say this about Clay. I put Clay in kind of, not exactly, but kind of the same bucket as like Supergiant,
yeah,
in that they have a very defined, like you can look at one of their games and be like, okay, I think this is the studio, because they have a very signature style that they use over and over. But from game to game, the games themselves are dramatically different, and
yeah,
they're almost always like really smart and really well put together,
yeah.
and really strong in
I
certain
feel like
aspects.
Clay is a studio where they have a game I could recommend to like a bunch of different kinds of like
Oh yeah,
gamers,
That's
right?
true.
Like Nolan, like, Mark and the Ninja. Of course, you played that, Nick. But like for Nolan, I'd recommend like looking into like Oxygen Not Included, because that game
Played
seems
it.
like up your alley, right?
I'm
And
pretty sure almost every major Clay game I've played,
oh, okay, yeah,
So
besides
yeah.
this
they're
one.
just
But
so
yes,
Griftlands is at
I'm a
1.0,
fan.
right?
it's 1.0, yeah.
Okay, so it's at early access. How's it been doing sales wise?
I don't know, but I'll tell you this much: I don't hear a lot of people talking about it, which is unfortunate, because it seems like incredibly well made, and
Dang.
I feel
it
like
seems good.
I feel like Supergiant's kind of in the same boat there. They released Pyre, and I don't feel like I don't remember many people talking about Pyre, but Pyre was also kind of brilliant in this like weird, unexpected way. But it certainly didn't get as much attention as something like Bastion or
Hades,
Transistor
of course.
and Hades, of course. But
Yeah.
Hades catapulted Supergiant like to the
Yeah,
they
yeah.
are
It,
now
it
like
transformed them.
they are
Clay
now much
Clay could
bigger
have
than they ever
easily
have been.
Clay could have easily made a Mark of the Ninja too, but they didn't. They always want to make something new, and with the exception of endless DLC for Don't Starve, it seems like they're always doing some cool new shit,
Don't
and this is
Starve
one of
is
them.
probably the game. Don't Starve is that game that's funding all of these other projects
That's their
almost
Hades, yeah.
single-handedly.
Don't Starve
Yeah,
was their
no.
Hades. It was
But
like
that's
this
the
It's
exciting
not.
extraordinary
shit.
success.
Like
It's
when a studio
it's not.
finds a game like that that's like super popular and super successful, like even if you don't like that game very much, or if it's not for you, like that
I
means
would
like they're just gonna have an endless stream of funds to kind of do all these exciting other projects that are to
Well,
come. I
I
think
was
so.
gonna say it's not even just the fact that Don't Starve was so popular. It's the fact that Don't Starve was, but then they did Don't Starve together, and that game blew up like crazy. And
yeah.
me and Crispy even streamed some of that game a while back, because yeah, that game is like a lot of fun.
I downloaded that game when it was on PlayStation
Plus,
Plus. Yeah, and I've never touched it, but I feel like when I downloaded it, it was like it was a very different Nick than exists now. I feel like Nick of today would probably really enjoy Don't Starve.
I've thought about playing it with Malia myself.
You should.
Seems
Well,
hard though.
so let's
Yeah.
shift gears in a totally different direction. Chris Davis is taking us back to. First of all, I can't believe that Nintendo released a sequel to Pokemon Snap.
They did.
Also, I can't believe Chris Davis is playing it. Uh, is it actually titled New Pokemon Snap?
Yes.
Mhm.
What
That
a
is what it
bad
is
name.
called.
That is a bad video game name. Anyways,
Well,
how are you
know
enjoying
how
Pokemon
they've
Snap?
been with new putting in their various styles, the new 3DS, the new 3DS Lite,
Yeah.
things like that.
When the Switch Pro, that is actually the one that when the next Switch comes out, it's probably going to be called the new Switch.
Oh, well,
I'm making a hot dog bet right now.
that's a
New
whole other
Switch.
discussion, but okay.
Do you
We'll
have
have
footage of
that
this game,
discussion.
Chris
Yes,
Davis?
I do.
All right.
Roll that footage.
I
Is this thing still on
prepared a
rails? Like,
statement.
oh, is this one of the
Yes.
games you prepared a statement? All right, so
Yes.
we're just gonna zip it. And we're gonna let you read your statement.
Oh, no.
So
Nintendo
I
hate
like photography. I always have. The past decade of games with built-in photo modes has really been cool to see grow up, but the variety of games out there that are strictly about photography itself have been exceptionally rare to see. You could probably count on one hand the number of AAA games that have come out where taking pictures was a proper game mechanic. Like the
AAA.
Dead
Well,
Rising
there was a few indie
series,
games
Pokemon
last
Snap,
year.
and Africa, I think, for the PS3, and that's about it, really. I've always been a fan of the idea of Pokemon games, but if I'm being honest, once you play one, you've played the entire mainline series. So with 1999's Pokemon Snap, when it came out on the Nintendo 64, I played that thing over and over. I all but demanded a proper sequel for decades, but as technology evolved, the franchise just fucking didn't. And it seemed like the Wii U was probably going to be the best possible scenario to get one, especially after playing Zombie U, which was a great concept for moving the controller around to take to scan your environment. I thought that would have been wonderful, but they didn't do it. So it's been kind of infuriating. But we finally have one, and we only had to wait 22 years. And it's only moderately worth the wait. So new Pokemon Snap it's 100% true to its the formula of its predecessor, both to its benefit and its detriment. Everything that made that title, that quirky title, kind of work is present. So it's an on-rail safari, taking pictures of cute little animals and interacting with them to see them do different behaviors, all set in a universe where apparently child labor and safety laws don't exist. It's fucking weird. The new game grows in all the right directions. It has more courses. There's multiple variants, day-night variants. There's branching paths within them. There's new tools to explore. And of course, there's a lot of new and classic Pokemon to photograph. It's kind of cool to see the levels change over time as you unlock content and level up your expedition's research status. As each time that happens, new species will start to appear in your levels. And new challenges will come from your fellow team members that will get you wanting to take pictures of hidden interactions between Pokemon. And there's even boss levels as part of an overarching narrative. Pokemon Snap has a fucking overarching narrative, and it's serviceable. It's not good, but serviceable. Yeah,
it'll do in a pinch.
Yeah, it does in a pinch. And it's a 12-hour game. Just from start to credits roll, at least from my experience, but you could probably spend several dozen more hours just filling up your Pokedex album with pictures of the Pokemon on your expedition. Okay, on the flip side, though, I feel the game's focus on being a nostalgia trip just does the game a little dirty. Like its predecessor, it is an on-rails experience with everything run on triggers and canned animations. You're never going to see any randomized elements ever in this game.
Boo.
Yeah. The game also suffers from artificial lengthening, as the evaluation system for scoring photos only allows you to submit one photo per Pokemon per run of a course. Now, it's already bad enough that each Pokedex album requires 4 different pictures of a Pokemon showing different behaviors to complete a page. But this just feels like a bad design decision. You give the player 70 potential photos you can take per course, but you're probably only going to take like 10 to 12 Pokemon's pictures each time you run through. And you're just going to end up replaying things over and over again because you can only submit one photo per Pokemon. And there's also no checkpoints or rewinding. It's just there's just some half-ass stuff in here. It's kind of annoying.
It's just forcing people to replay the level over and over again.
It absolutely is.
Well, yeah.
Dumb.
So, and sorry if Chris Davis, if you are reading off a script right now, if I'm interrupting, but isn't that just the original game? If I recall, and don't get me wrong, it's been a while since I played it, but I think that was the concept in the original game, was that at the end of the course you submitted photos, and yeah, I think you couldn't submit more than
100% that original game. Yes.
Similarly, they wanted you to get different styles or whatever. But I think the whole point of that is, I think it is all but impossible to get everything in a single run, mainly because and I'm not trying to defend the game or anything, but there's like secrets, quote unquote, in all of the levels. So it's kind of about figuring out, how do I get this one Pokemon to do one thing? Or how do I discover that there's a Meowth hiding in these bushes and stuff like that?
Yeah.
And so I think the whole reason that they maybe don't want you to submit more than one of each Pokemon is because they want you to focus on different things. And I'm just, grasping at straws. I don't know.
I mean,
I don't think they did enough in this game from what I've heard to make it amazing. They probably could have done a whole lot more. But I think that maybe potentially they're just trying to stick with that similar mechanic that they had in the original game.
Yeah, if you weren't so you when you play through a course, your research level for that course goes up over time based on how well you score and how many new pictures you add to your Pokedex. And every time your research level goes up, it also affects the level. And that adds more Pokemon showing up. Sometimes different paths will open up. Sometimes it will completely change the structure and route of the level, which is kind of cool. But you're also in only submitting one photo per run of a course, like you're just artificially lengthening a game that's already really, really heavily reliant on replay. And I think that extra level of replay focus is, again, to the detriment of the game. But
I have a thought about just kind of the general flow, but if you want to finish your statement.
Yeah, let me finish real quick. I got one paragraph left. So if I had to sum it, I'd say it's a pretty decent tribute to its ancestry. It just kind of casts the series in a bit of a bad light at the same time. The original was the reason why I like Pokemon Snap is that the original was like a vision for what a full 3D Pokemon experience could look like. And at that time, it being on the Nintendo 64 and it just being like a year and a half after the Pokemon Red and Blue or Red and Green came out, it felt like that was Game Freak's like effort to create a foundational model and elements to make a proper console Pokemon game. And that never happened. And it took 20 years for them to come out with a quote unquote console Pokemon game. But at the end of the day, it just feels like a slightly higher fidelity Pokemon experience. And I think that's a damn shame. It's just, I would only really recommend it for those that are curious, and I would not recommend it for full price.
Question. What was the name of so Pokemon, they just released that Pokemon game on the Switch. What was the last, core Pokemon game they released on the Switch that was what you were...
The official newest release, I believe, was Sword and Shield. They did do the remake of Diamond and Pearl, I think.
Yeah, but like Sword and Shield is what I'm talking about. Sword and Shield were the ones that were kind of like basically the first console version, kind of in a 3D world.
Well, you had
Pokemon games, and this came and went so fast.
Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu as well.
That's
those
true,
are two Switch Pokemon games.
You're right. I know, but you're right.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Once again, I'm not
you.
defending Pokemon. I've been one of the most vocal about my distaste for Pokemon over the decades because I was such a fan. But every single game's the same fucking thing. And I'm potentially excited for the new one. What was it called? Like Arxidus or what? Some weird.
There's another new one. Did I miss this?
No, it's a huge fucking thing when they announced it.
Yeah, it looks like a feudal Japan Pokemon game.
It's like a giant open world. Like it's supposedly. Yeah,
Man,
Nick, you definitely heard of it. Arceus, there you go, Brad. Something like that.
What a weird world we live in, where like that kind of announcement. Either I saw it and completely forgot it, or I just wasn't paying attention because I stopped caring about Pokemon.
You just forgot, man.
It was a while back. It was before E3.
I mean, Sword and Shield was literally just released. I feel like.
No,
like 2 years ago. Going on 2 years.
Yeah. How
the point is,
I don't know how you missed this. But.
I mean, the truth of the matter is, it's probably because I just don't care. Because Pokemon stopped, like Sword and Shield, if it came out like 10 years ago, maybe, I could see myself being like over the moon excited about it. But like, it took them so long to get to that point that it's like, you've lost me.
Yeah.
You've completely lost me.
Also,
I remember I played it at E3. I played Shield. So I did one of the tournament battles at E3, and I was like, this is kind of cool, but like, let's be real. Am I going to end up playing this Pokemon games? I haven't like really let myself commit to a Pokemon game since like Sapphire, I think it was.
Also, just to note that this is not a Game Freak or internally developed Nintendo game. They outsourced it to Bandai Namco.
Oh.
Yeah, and I cannot figure out for the life of me who actually fucking developed this game.
Well, so that's probably why that's one of the reasons why it's so safe. That if it's a third party, they probably just didn't want to like fuck with what worked already. But here's my problem with Pokemon Snap, just kind of conceptually, is that, and I think this is purely a byproduct of the gaming landscape we live in today, which is the world in which photo modes, like you said, are a big thing. Virtual photography is a big thing, and those are such a big thing because the emphasis is on like taking really like dynamic artistic shots and like manipulating like filters and
Yeah.
contrast and colors and stuff, and that's what makes them fun. Pokemon Snap is like literally aim a camera and snap a photo, and then that is it. You don't do anything with it. It is not about taking the best photo. It is just about taking a photo. It could be like a blurry photo of a Pikachu eating an apple, like I saw a minute ago. And it doesn't matter as long as they're in the frame. Boom, you
Well,
got
I
it.
mean, it does matter because they do score the photos, and they're
so,
going to
yeah,
get
hold on.
they're going to gate your score and progression.
Arbitrary, right?
No,
No,
it's not
it's
You're
arbitrary.
not taking artistic shots, right? Like there's no one
Correct.
actually
So-
judging your
so hold on.
photos.
So
for
hold
real.
on. Let's take a step backwards. So Nick, to answer your question, no. Aperture size, focal length, what's your ISO set to? No, none of that
Good
matters
shit.
in this game. But it is about your Pokemon needs to be centered. It does need to be a decent. They can't be too far away or too up close. If you're just taking a picture of Pikachu's like eye and cheek, that's not a good picture of Pikachu. And so there is some of that. You want them to be in a good pose. If there are certain things in the game you can do to get them to react, so by either throwing something at them. I remember in the older game you could maybe throw an apple at something and it would fall and the Pokemon would react to it. So
Yeah.
getting that kind of stuff is better. And like Chris David said, it's better for scoring because the thing is, I've never played this game, but if I'm recalling the first one, you could not get to certain areas until you had enough points, and the only way you can get more points
True.
is by taking better photos.
Yeah,
It's
it's all
just
about
that
the
this kind of
thresholds.
formula just made so much more sense in a world where virtual photography and photo
Well,
modes didn't exist.
Yeah.
The
You know
other
what I
thing,
mean?
Nick,
Like-
is you have to realize, and this is my frustration with I would say Game Freak. I know Game Freak didn't do this, but they and I'm fairly certain I'm correct in this. They're always trying to make Pokemon for 6-year-olds
Yeah.
or 10-year-olds. Like every new game is not geared at Pokemon fans. It is geared at the new kids that have grown up and maybe
Growing-
haven't played the older one, so they create a new one for them, and that's all it is. So that's why they
Growing the
don't get
base.
into, like, exactly.
Yeah.
That's why they don't get into the more complex things. Like, yes, if they had the ability for you to take a photo but kind of pause for a second, adjust lighting, and do all this stuff, that would be much better. But I guarantee you, 95% of their audience would not do that. So it's not worth the time or money for them to implement those features.
Yeah.
You're right. I am with Chris Davis here though. Like if they made a game where like that was like all about taking beautiful photos of in some world, it doesn't necessarily have to be an established world. It could be just
There's a lot of indie games playing in this space right now. I think one of the most like talked about indies, like I guess more obscure indies from last year was the year before was Umurangi Generation, which was a photography game that did have a bunch of like little filters and lenses and stuff
I've
like
never
that.
even heard of this. No.
Yeah, I haven't either. But like
maybe you
that's
should look
that,
into it.
it's that
They have to.
Chris Davis especially.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of. I've been curious about this. I didn't even know this thing existed until it was basically out. So thanks
I
for
think
bringing it to the show.
Umurangi Generation has
Yeah,
kaiju.
It came out back in this came out back in April. I just started playing it a few weeks ago. So
I literally heard about it because someone talked about it on the Bombcast, and I was like, "That there's a new Pokemon Snap. I feel like that should be a much bigger deal than it actually is." But alas, here we are.
and it should be,
All right,
but it definitely isn't.
Right. Okay, so we are coming up on an hour, so let's take a quick break. When we get back, we have one or two more things to talk about, and then we'll answer some questions. I think we'll squeeze in a conversation there about the new Nintendo OLED Switch model or something. And of course, we'll wrap up with the 4-player minute. So if you're watching us live, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
687, Brad.
Sorry, what?
Bernadette says she doesn't care about oh my god, Evie meeting our boys. She just wants to meet Evie.
Oh,
Cool.
I mean, I want to meet Eevee too.
Well, that will happen.
I was
will
drawing a
definitely
blank on
happen.
Eevee for a second there. I was like, "Fuck, what's next dog's name?"
Just think of Rachel Weisz from The Mummy, and you got it.
You
Oh, I
mean
thought
the
you said.
Pokemon?
I thought you were naming her after the character from Assassin's Creed Syndicate,
No, I
Eevee
see why you
Fry.
might. I see
Everyone's
why you
gonna
might
assume it's
think
the
that.
Pokemon.
Yeah, I know, but well, it's definitely not spelled like the Pokemon, so you know.
Yeah,
Just saying.
Eevee's more of an Arcanine than an Eevee.
I had a great
Yeah.
Pokemon joke earlier this week about Eevee, and Carlos
That'll
fucking
be
stole
for.
it.
Oh, well, that's what Carlos does. That's what Carlos
Yeah, but
does.
that
All
was
right.
It's not a good
especially
joke.
egregious.
It's not a good joke.
I thought it was a good joke.
No.
Well,
Sorry.
y'all.
Bad
Not
joke.
wrong.
What does an Eevee evolve into for $5 a month? A Patreon.
That was a great. That was actually a really good, solid joke. I think. It may not be a Brad's alley, but I thought I appreciated it. I actually thought when
Thank
I read
you.
it, I was like, "Man, Carlos, you're clever."
Anything Carlos says, he stole from someone. You do realize that.
Yes, I do. I do realize this. Like his own name in Discord.
Yeah.
I forgot who it was. Somebody in Discord was like, is anybody now second guessing every time they see Brad talk whether they're actually talking to Brad? I do now have to type in @Brad and see which one is Brad, which one is Carlos, because what a
Or
bitch.
hover your mouse over
Carlos only
the
talks
avatar.
in the Carlos channel. If you see anywhere outside of the Carlos channel, it's not Carlos.
But are you sure he's sticking to that bit, or is? I mean,
Are
maybe
you
he's
kidding
using.
me?
Maybe he's in
Are you
disguise.
questioning Carlos's ability to stick to a bit?
No, not. I mean, at some point that bit's got to retire, though, right? Maybe this is
He
just
has
his way of
stepped away from bits before.
Dude,
This is
I've
his way
talked
of
to him about it
sneaking out.
privately. He's pretty much basically has to take this one to his grave. He said the only way he'll truly be free is if we delete that channel. And I don't think he means he's going to go back to posting in other channels. I think that just means he'll go away.
He'll
He's
just
gone.
fade into the.
He
He'll fade into
deletes
the ether.
Carlos. Deleting his channel is deleting Carlos.
Watch him like be so dedicated to the bit that we delete the channel in Discord, and then Brad like a couple days later goes to like hang out with him or call him, and he just can't get a hold of him, and then it turns out he fucking moved away, and now Carlos is just out of our lives. Just
Oh, there never was a house.
Gone.
There never was a Carlos.
just gone. Well, that's where it starts to get weird and creepy. All right. Anyways, I'm going to keep that in the show. Welcome back, everybody. Before we get to some news and some questions, there's a few other quick mention games we want to go over. I want to start real quick. I wanted to revisit a game that I haven't talked about in a few weeks. Actually, at this point, a couple of months. I went back this past week to Returnal, and
Why would you not say you returned?
You're right. Because I'm not like you, Nolan. I'm not. These things don't just pop into my head at the most convenient moments.
How about you pinched off another loaf of Returnal?
See, part of the reason I want to have this conversation, Brad, is because you seem so. What's the word I'm looking for?
Butthurt.
Aggressive.
I have
aggressive
no
with your
real
distaste
ill
for
will
this
towards
game.
this game. I just don't want to play it.
Which is strange to me.
It's
I guess
not
I don't know.
strange.
It's
Nick,
so strange.
You understand why it's not strange.
I do.
You understand why it's not strange. Everything that's about to come out of your mouth right now is the reason I don't want to play it.
Wow.
Okay.
Well,
That's.
I mean, the reason I find it strange, a little strange, Brad, is because the only reason I even gave this game a shake is because of how much I loved Hades and how it kind of opened. I mean, it had kind of opened my eyes to like the potential of
Hades. I mean,
roguelikes.
Hades is a very chill game. This
Sure,
game has zero chill.
Okay. I mean, you're right, but you are a Dark Souls fan. You've played through all the Dark Souls games. I know.
Sure,
I talked about.
It has
I talked
nothing
about
to do with the fact that Returnal is hard. I mean, I can reiterate why I stopped playing this game, if you like, but it's
not. That's not necessary. I mean,
okay.
I get it.
Well, then,
I get it.
Talk about it.
I just wanted to talk briefly for a second because this was a game when I played it for like 20 hours or so, and I hit a wall, and I put it down because it was such a big wall that I was like, I literally can't see myself. Like, I don't think I am good enough to finish this game. I just don't see credits rolling in this game in my future. Um, and but I decided but I was outside of that. Why do you keep pointing, Brad? What are you pointing at?
I'm pointing at you on stream.
Oh, got it. Okay. Yeah, right. So when I was talking about Discord, I'm assuming you're referring to the fact that I kind of drew comparisons to Sekiro, which is this game is kind of on the same kind of like trajectory for me as Sekiro, where I played like a huge chunk of it and then I hit a wall and then I put it down and then I was like, God, I love that game so fucking much and I want to finish it, but it's too much for me, but I'm gonna fucking make myself do it. And I eventually went back and I brute forced my way through Sekiro and I made myself finish it, and I did, and I don't regret it. I love Sekiro to death, even though it was so hard that I doubt I'll ever play it again. And this is kind of
subsequent playthroughs will be significantly easier once you know how to play Sekiro.
Well, I mean, I feel like I think if you play them back to back, sure, but if you put it down for any extended period of time and go back to it, you have to relearn the thing all over again.
True.
If I went back right now to Sekiro, I'd fucking fail miserably. And I struggled a little bit getting back into this. I was worried that the fact that I put it down for so long, I wasn't going to be able to get back into this game easily, and I was like, maybe I screwed myself by stopping. But I went back to it, and after like 4 or 5 failed runs, I kind of got back into the swing of things. And I went back to that boss, and I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I don't even care. I'm not ashamed of it. I watched a YouTube video to see how someone fought that boss. I have no shame. And I went back, and it was still an incredibly hard boss fight, but I got through it. And everybody says that's kind of the hump. It continues to be hard. It continues to be challenging. But from after that third boss in the game, it becomes, after the second boss in the game, you get into the second or third. Oh my God, I'm in the 4th biome. There's 6 total. I'm in the 4th biome. So I'm in the second half of the game. They say when you hit that point, it continues to be difficult, but you start hitting. You're finding better weapons. You're finding stronger weapons with more. The pool of items, the pool of artifacts you're using, the pool of randomized shit you're getting. It's so much bigger that you're just naturally getting. It's more varied. So you're getting better and better. And even though it's hard, you continue to progress through it at a steady rate.
Starts to become a decent roguelike.
But I feel like it's always been a decent roguelike because you are unlocking shit that I would call like game changers as you're going through, and that's the stuff that makes you feel like you've made progress. And earliest example of the game was the first time you unlock
humps, and those come after a lot of playtime.
Not necessarily.
So like I got the sword in this game, and
I don't think the sword came after a boss fight. I think the sword came like there's
before you get to these until you get through these humps. It just wasn't worth it to me.
So the humps are pretty dramatic in this game. I'm not gonna lie. And
stuff I was getting in the first few hours is just so whatever. Yet it's no less demanding. Like you're gonna
you dive into
guns that. Sorry. Oh, that might be my internet. Actually, I'm on Wi-Fi. But that's because I'm in another room. What, Nick?
I mean, it's fine. The audio will be fine at the end of the day. If Brad's talking, just let him go.
That's true.
So I don't know where I cut out, but it was just so demanding for so little in return. Yet it was. I had to be on nonstop, and it was like, just fucking exhausting. And I was. Am I still cutting out? Hello?
Yes, horribly.
I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. So, hey guys, what's up?
I get the gist of what you're saying for sure.
Well, maybe someone else should just talk.
You're right. All I can say is now that I've gone back to it, I've gotten past that hump. A lot of crazy shit starts to happen in the story. The story is continually compelling. The boss fights are very well designed. They're just obviously it's because of the fact that this studio is so steeped in like bullet hell type games. A lot of the challenge comes from how do you avoid these hits while also dealing damage, right? So like they just
Mhm.
continue to get more and more overwhelming with like waves and waves and waves of orbs and bullets and shit that you're having to dodge. Um, but at the same time, underneath all that, the fights themselves are very well designed, and I've gotten to the point now where like weapons are super satisfying, and you never know what you're gonna get every time you pick up an item. So like I'm so obsessed with like stopping every few seconds to like check out every little item that's dropped and make that decision of, do I want to pick this up or do I want to wait and see if I get something better, or is you're also constantly kind of having to like weigh the benefits versus the negatives and all this stuff, and like that is what I love about these games. That's why I loved Hades so much, and that's why, and I think this game does it just as well. It's just like a totally different vibe, totally different atmosphere than that game. And like I said before, I feel like because of how much I ended up enjoying Hades, I finally kind of see and I know I'm probably really late to the party here, but like I finally kind of understand the appeal of roguelikes, I think, at their core, and that's why I'm really, really enjoying this game. But now that I've gotten over this hump, I'm in it. I'm focused. I'm not putting this game down until credits have rolled, because it has become that compelling. So I just wanted to give a quick update.
Okay.
But all right.
I
Where
found
are we
this
going?
game exhausting and not very
It is
exciting.
exhausting. It is
There, I said it.
very exhausting. You're absolutely right. And that is sure, that is reason enough to maybe not give it a fair shake, but uh
The thing
the
is, I
moment
think I think the game that you're playing when you get to the fourth biome, I would love to play that game. I don't want to get there.
That's fair. I think that's probably fair. But I also don't think it, like I say I played for 28 hours before I made it to the halfway point of the
I
game.
don't want to do
But
that
but
28
I know, but what I'm saying is that the game that I'm playing now in the fourth biome didn't just start after 30 hours of play. It was maybe 10 hours, and then I was like then I was in the good shit. I was like, it was starting to become so varied, and I was
You say
the
that, but you
pool
were
of
in love with
items.
this fucking thing like
I
right
was I
away.
was in I was in love with it from just the feel of the gameplay immediately. The
Sure, I
game
like
feels
that.
incredible to play. Yeah, yeah, that stuff's incredible. But you're right, like the actual addictive loop of playing a roguelike didn't really get its hooks in me until probably
Oh,
the
that's
10
what I
hours
wanted to
in.
say. Because I mean, obviously, you're making comparisons to Hades because that's really the only other roguelike
Right,
you've played. I mean, I've played a lot more. I know Nolan's played a shit ton, but
right.
like in Hades, I know immediately what I'm working for. I know what the story is giving me enough hints to like give me like that carrot of like, oh, this is why I want to know more. I want to know what's going on
Well, I think this game has
with
plenty of story
this.
carrots.
Okay, but they come few and far between. The thing is, Hades is a persistent, like, I know where this is going, but it's not just the story, which is incredibly well done in that game. It's that I see all these other weapons I can unlock. They're upgrades. I see all the mirror upgrades that I'm working towards. I
Right.
know what I'm fighting for when I play and struggle in Hades. In this game, I'm just struggling and I don't even really know outside of those story nuggets like what I'm really getting out of it, right?
I
Because I
also
don't
want to
see that. Like I'm picking up the same weapons over and over and over again. There's going from 0 to 1 and it's not really changing the way I play at all. I know I get significant upgrades after like these big boss humps, right? Like this fucking grappling hook or whatever, right? But like that's not something that I mean, who
I,
knows when I'm going to be able to get to that point? It
well,
could be
I do want to
hours and
stress
hours and
one
hours of
thing.
grinding it out,
I
and I
do want to
don't know if
stress
I want
one
to do that.
thing, and because it seems to me, because you said that before, you said it in Discord, you were like, you see the number on the weapon go up one, and that's it. But like, if you if you stop for a second, if you clear a room and you go to look at a weapon, it pops up like a tooltip, right, that tells you the
Yeah,
difference between the weapon you're equipped with and the weapon you're about to pick
yeah.
up. And yes, you might see a difference in the number, but it also
But see,
it gives you a
I
detailed
watched a video
breakdown.
that said all of those stats are meaningless except for the one that is the damage, and I forget what that's
I
called.
don't I think that's bullshit. I think that's
What is the
complete
one
bullshit because
that says how
every
much damage
weapon
the weapon's doing?
has different, like they all have bonus damage as a stat, but the other two that come with, because they all have three stats, right? Two of them are going to be different depending on what kind of weapon you're using, and some of them
Yeah.
could be ultra cooldown, which does make a huge difference, especially if it's a weapon that has a really good alt fire. You want to make sure that cooldown is low. And as you level up the weapon and as you use it more, you unlock additional alt fires and additional things.
But I also heard like the alt fires don't even get really all that like exciting and interesting until you get to the point in the game where you're at right now. Which is, again, I want to get to that point where there's a lot more variety, there's a lot more weapons, there's a lot more alt fires that actually feel powerful and effective. Because right now,
all I'm saying is
I don't feel that.
I know, but I'm saying you get to that point a lot earlier than 30 hours. I also want to stress I'm not very good at this kind of game. I'm not.
What biome is this?
This is the 4th biome, but I just want to stress because I know what you're thinking, and I had this thought when I was recording it. You're going to tell me you think this looks just like one of the other biomes,
and it does, right? And
but there's a very specific reason
I would see this footage and go like, "Oh, wow,
no. There's a very specific reason, and you're missing
It's a story.
A lot of content. Yes.
Yeah,
but and it's a really interesting story thing, which is what's really making me excited to keep going at this point. But obviously, that's not. I was kind of hoping the next biome was going to be something dramatically different, but alas, this is where I am right now, so that's what I captured.
Being raided.
Yeah. All right. So we can move on from Returnal. I just wanted to give an update because I have gotten over the hump, and I have settled into that like frame of mind I had with Sekiro, where I'm just like, I'm gonna finish this game because right now it's kind of a shoe in for like one of my favorite games of the year, so I want to make sure I see it through to completion. I don't know.
Nick, shut up! Something's going on.
So we're being raided by Neebs Gaming. Thank you, Neebs Gaming, for rating us during the podcast. We appreciate it. Holy shit! All right. Anyways, where do you want to go from here? Nolan, you said you had another game you wanted to quickly mention, right?
I hope it's one that's exciting. And
I mean, maybe pressure. I don't know. I don't know what Neebs Gaming. I don't know the game styles they like.
Yeah, but tell us what Neebs' favorite game is, so we could talk about that.
It's Fortnite, Valorant. I don't know what else is popular right now.
Power Wash Simulator.
Still. No, I did want to bring up Industries of Titan. I finally got around to completing a run of that game. Why are you making faces at me, Brad?
No, I'm reading chat. Keep going.
He needs glasses. Okay. That's what.
Yeah, he's an old man. So I finished a run of Industries of Titan. It took me quite a while to do it. It got pretty intense towards the end. What I didn't realize was that you could take over like the people that are the raiders. By like encroaching on their territory and essentially doing like a hostile takeover by spending like money and influence, which is an interesting concept. And I finally ended up finishing a run. I enjoyed it a lot, but I'm actually going to put down the game until it comes out of early access. Just because they're still doing a lot. They're adding a lot of content to it still, and I don't want to kind of spoil myself on it. And that's just kind of what I wanted to say on that one.
So Nolan, you're going to put down the game so you can play some Ark, Genesis 2, and some Rust, and some Human Fall Flat.
Is that what they're saying? I saw Battlefield.
No, I'm just looking at this YouTube page now.
Oh, okay. That's what Neebs Gaming is into.
I don't know. Battlefield.
I've been playing on a Battlefield 4 server called Dip Potato Chips, so.
Oh no.
I mean, so I'm not gonna lie. Battlefield, the 2042 trailer got me pretty excited. That might be one I want to check out at some point.
My body is ready. I'm gonna be terrible at that game, but I'm ready. I don't even care.
I'm not very good at first-person shooters. The only one I've been playing lately is COD, and I guess I've been getting better at that one. But I've never played Battlefield, so.
Really?
Let me tell you, you get excited when you're thinking about playing a Battlefield game for the first time. I get, maybe this is just me, I get really excited about, I'm gonna fucking fly helicopters, I'm gonna fly jets, I'm gonna do all kinds of cool shit. Can't do any of it. I tried getting in a helicopter once, crashed it in like 2 seconds. It was wonderful. And I was like,
always been really bad about like vehicle controls. So
wonderful. I have a feeling that's probably not going to be any different with this new one. But you know what? I'm still excited to try. I'm going to be sitting here. I'm going to get into a helicopter. I'm going to spend like a minute looking for trying to figure out how to fly this thing, and then I'm going to get blown out of the sky.
I don't even bother. I just plug in a controller and use that whenever I'm in a helicopter or plane. So.
Hey, I was talking about a controller from the get-go.
Hold on. You're saying when you play a Battlefield game, you use mouse and keyboard, but if you get in a helicopter, you pick up a controller?
Yes.
Is it easier that way?
It's actually is a little just a tad easier. Yes.
All right,
That's
I'll take
called
your.
cheating.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
But so they gave away Battlefield 4 as part of Prime Gaming during June.
Oh yeah, I
and
saw
the
that.
servers have gone just fucking nuts for it. They actually had to
That's 'cause
reopen
everybody's
some
fucking hype.
servers. Yeah, everyone's hype. I've reinstalled it, and well, I never installed it on PC before. I never played the PC version, but I did. And to date, according to Origin, I put 156 hours into it.
What?
Yeah,
Wait, is that's not accurate, right?
no, that's
is
how
it?
many hours I put into it.
Oh,
Are we going to talk about
Jesus.
this fucking Switch?
The cool thing is that they after they finished the last batch of DLC for Battlefield 4, they turned on permanent double XP. So you could level up fast and unlock a lot more stuff pretty fast without having to purchase anything. So
Gotcha.
Wait, did Chris Davis have another statement?
I
He
did.
did.
Oh, let's hear it, Chris Davis.
Okay.
His brief statement.
I have prepared a brief statement. The statement is the following. Castlevania Symphony of the Night is a pretty good video game.
Oh, okay.
Wait, was that your brief statement?
That is my brief statement.
It's pretty
Damn,
good.
he's not-
You've been playing it for the first time?
Yes, my first Castlevania experience I have been doing over the past week. I finished
Damn.
Castlevania Symphony of the Night yesterday night.
Which version?
I was playing the PS4, PS5 release thing, the one with the new translation, but it's got Run of Blood with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the one I played.
I'm playing it because it's your fault I'm playing it, Brad. It's entirely
well,
your
of
fault.
course.
I'm glad.
No, it's so back when we were updating the top 5 presentation files, I wanted to add like maybe just like a second and a half of like some Symphony of the Night in there.
I totally didn't
And
do that.
I asked you for some just for that intro footage, and you never fucking replied to me. So I went ahead and spent $20 and bought the collection, and I recorded it. And last week I was like, I've never played it. I really enjoyed Bloodstained. Maybe I should do this because I'm waiting on the next gen patch for a Plague Tale to come out, so I've got time until then. So I did, and I 198%ed it.
That's exactly the percentage I ended at.
What percentage?
198%.
That sounds like quitter.
I just want to, dude. 198 is pretty
okay,
damn
so
close.
you've actually played it.
I
wait.
so
it's pretty good. Is that a troll or is like?
it's
sick as
pretty
hell?
good. It would be great or excellent if it didn't have some just like arbitrarily stupid shit in there.
Oh no! Oh no! This is going off the rails.
No, so when I played through it, I knew about the inverted castle, but I played through it, and I played through pretty much as much of the map as I thought I could do before having to go to the inverted castle, because I figured I would get more powers and I can unlock more stuff later on. And so I fought Richter, and it gave me the bad ending. So like, what the fuck is this? And then I had to do some reading, and I found out the only way to experience the entire rest of this fucking game is to get an item from an area that you have to lure an enemy with an explosive barrel over to blow up a bridge and drop down.
Yeah.
They gate off the entire rest, a half of a fucking game behind luring an enemy to blow up something.
Dude,
It's
look,
so
man, it
fucking
was a different
stupid.
time. We were Game Pro and fucking EGM and shit. All right, we figured it out.
Hey, I just want to say, that's a funny way for you to finally end up playing that game, and I'm glad you did. We played that for the Revival Club recently.
Yes, you did.
And we recorded a whole podcast about it. Brad was on that podcast because obviously Brad loves Castlevania. So check that out on 4playernetwork.com.
Are you gonna play Rondo of Blood like a grown up now?
No, I'm not. I did try Rondo of Blood, and I said no, thank you. But also, Brad, I don't think we had seen that print since you got it framed and hung. It looks great.
Oh, hey, this is on topic. Chris Davis, now that you've played Symphony of the Night, that Castlevania Advanced Collection's coming out, you should totally play Aria of Sorrow next.
Everyone says great things about Aria of Sorrow.
Yeah, that one's great. Nick's
If
played
it
that
comes
one.
out on
you
Switch, I'll
played
consider
Dawn of
it.
Sorrow,
Dawn of Sorrow and Dawn of Sorrow.
but that one's good too.
It is good. I still want to go back and play like Portrait of Ruin and what's the other one? What's the other one on
Order of
DS?
Ecclesia.
Order of Ecclesia, yeah.
Yeah, that one's good.
One day I'll play those. All right. Real quick, before we get into questions, I feel like this is a big enough news topic. We should probably talk about it, right? Nintendo this week announced the Switch Pro, and it's 4K, baby.
Oh, no.
That's a lie. Apologize to our listeners right now.
This is
no,
this is a
This
thing,
is not
man.
It's a
They
thing, but
announced-
it's a thing for all the wrong reasons.
Well, no. So first of all, I think thank you, Diaz. I do realize it's not 4K. It's a joke. Okay, so the Nintendo announced the OLED, the OLED version of OLED model of the Switch hardware, which basically is confirmed to be same internal components. So it has there's literally no difference from a like a power standpoint or processing standpoint. But the improvements they have made include the kickstand on the back. It's a new color. It has a LAN port on the actual dock, which I don't know how much that matters to a lot of people.
I think all of the physical changes they've made to it are good. But that is not like a new Switch. Like that is just like an upgrade slightly.
Right.
And if you don't already have a Switch, it's probably good to get. But
I mean, it's not even an upgrade. It's a fucking hardware refresh. Like
it's okay. So it's a bigger screen. It's an OLED screen, and let me tell you the reason. And it has a LAN port right in the dock, which you could have already got an adapter. I have one of the adapters actually. The reason I might get one is because it also has the battery life of the second revision of the regular Switch, right? Remember they came out with the better battery life model, which is almost like twice as good as the battery in the original Switch. And so when that came out, there was a lot of like trade up deals. Like GameStop is like, dude, if you trade it in towards this new one, we'll give you like way more than we normally would, right? Sure. And I missed out on that, and I fucking regretted it. I could have literally upgraded at the time for $75 and had one that had like twice the battery life, which to me is a big deal because I do play a lot of handheld mode. So this one has that battery life, which is a lot better than the one I have. It has a bigger screen. I mean, and the fucking bezel on this thing is terrible. And it's still terrible on the new one, but it's really bad on this one. And it's an OLED screen, which is nice. The blacks are going to look really good.
But with an OLED screen, you do have to worry about burn-in. And if you have a static HUD, there's a potential issue there.
This is 2021. You don't have to worry about that shit.
It still happens, man. I'm telling you.
But also,
the
like,
retention is
the Switch goes to sleep.
To
the Switch goes to sleep so quickly. I mean, honestly, there's been times I'm like holding it in my hand and I like check my phone for a couple minutes and then I forget and I've already like not touched it in long enough. Like the thing just goes dark. So I don't
phone's an OLED screen. How much burn-in do you have on that?
Yeah, hold on. I will also say that in regards to the OLED and burn-in and stuff, unless you do something that prevents it from going to sleep and keep it plugged in and walk away when you're in the middle of a game for 4 hours, it might maybe be slightly an issue. But the thing is, anytime you pause, every single pixel is going to change. Anytime you do, like, things are going to change enough where I don't think it's going to be a big deal. Burn-in comes into play when you have a HUD up for like dozens of hours on end. Like, I don't think it's going to be a huge deal. And OLED has definitely come a long way as well.
I don't know about y'all, but like when I'm playing, especially when I'm playing in handheld mode, if I know I'm gonna put it down for a little while, like I just naturally hit the home button and like go into sleep mode.
Well, of course,
like that. Like,
the battery sucks. Why would you leave it on?
If you're leaving it on long enough to have burn in, I feel like that's kind of your fault. your own problem.
The question is though, like, does the Pro still exist?
Well, I think here's the thing.
Technically, no, but I'm sure they're going to make one. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, because there's been a lot of talk too about the fact that this might also have this might not have been their original plan.
I
And
believe that. Yeah.
I'm going to plug the Bombcast because they had a conversation about it on this show this week, I think it was,
Hmm.
where they were talking about this could be tied to chip shortages, and they may have had, on a production scale, they may have had all the materials they needed minus the actual chips they were originally going to use
Hmm.
for this thing, and instead of sitting on them for who knows how long, the idea would be, okay, let's just throw it into a slight upgrade and get them out the door, because otherwise who knows when we're going to be able to actively sell these quote unquote Switch Pro to a point where like people can actually get their hands on it. Because you think of it this way: if you put it out there at the same time the regular Switch is available, and there's this Pro version that's like incredibly hard to find, there's going to be fuck tons of people who are just like, I'm not going to buy anything until I can get my hands on the Pro, and they're just cannibalizing their own sales. I feel like, so at this point,
Not necessarily. I think you could think of it also as in, oh, there's a bunch of people, and oh, mommy, please get me a Switch Pro, and it's like, oh, well, that's out. Here's a Switch instead. It's better than nothing. I mean, there's
yeah.
still the likelihood that that could happen.
I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see something that is more akin to what was being rumored, like in a year, maybe 2 years.
But
It is disappointing.
as
It's
far
certainly
as like
disappointing.
the plans being having changed, I could see this having changed from we're going to do a pro version, because there was a lot of stuff out of like reputable places, like a lot of smoke out of places like Bloomberg, and like not
The
just
Verge,
game facts, wish lists, right?
right?
There's a lot of smoke as far as like this thing doing like 4K or being more of an actual thing, like tech spec wise. I would not be surprised if the plan changed from let's do a pro to let's kind of what we've worked on. Let's let's let this be the kind of stepping stone to next generation and push that back a little, or maybe push it up a little, but basically turn our pro plans into next gen plans, and all these screens that we have or whatever, right? Let's just do an OLED version, a refresh,
Yeah,
right?
Well,
yeah.
there's also
This
consideration
is just
of
the
the
one they want to
price
sell.
because this
Yeah,
new
it is
OLED
more
version, it is a
expensive.
$50 increase in price, and it's
That's
going to be replacing
weird.
the standard Switch line.
Which
Uh,
is it's going to be replacing it, and they're going up in price because they know they can, which is
Oh,
insane,
of
right?
yeah,
course.
Because now a Switch costs more than an Xbox,
but if you have
That
right?
is
if you
You
have
can
a
get an
4K
Xbox for
model that
300 bucks.
requires a beefier set of hardware built in, and that's going to incur a further price increase that I'm beginning to wonder whether people are willing to pay $450, $500 for
Wait, what
a
are you talking
Nintendo
about?
Switch system like that.
He's
What are you
talking about
talking?
potentially what they would do if they did a Pro, how much it would
Well,
come
I
out
mean, it
as.
sounds like that's not on the in the cards right now, anyway. So,
My
but by
assumption
the
is
time that
what's going to
comes out,
happen. My assumption is what's going to happen is, yeah, this one's 350, whatever, blah blah blah. By the time the Switch Pro comes out, they'll knock this one down in price, and the Switch Pro will be, I don't know,
yeah,
400,
Yeah, they'll do
450 or
that.
something.
yeah, I don't think they're going to go 450. I think they would tops do 400.
yeah.
But
I
also
don't think the
to
Switch Pro was ever going to be like a big
Mm-mm.
hardware jump, anyways, which was fine. I just wanted a little bit better of a frame rate in Monster Hunter, and I wanted the best frame rate I was going to be able to get in Zelda and Metroid Prime. That's why I was hoping for a power boost, because the Switch is honestly kind of laggy.
S-
Even
s-
Stories 2 has frame rate issues.
That's always been my biggest complaint with all of Nintendo's hardware. It's not that I'm trying to get a beast of a machine. I'm just trying to get a machine that can run games stably. That was my biggest
Yeah.
complaint. And Brad, I can't. Would you play Dragon Quest Builders 2 on
Oh,
PS4?
I played it on Switch and it was
On Switch,
brutal.
it runs like dog shit
Ah,
handheld. It runs uh, like okay docked. But that's insane. That is not
mm,
like such a crazy game. It is not Returnal. It's not even close. It is such a simple game, yet the Switch can barely run it. And so I'm with Brad that a Switch Pro to me is not an Xbox Series S. It is just something that can run games at least a stable 30. First off, let's
yeah.
say that, but hopefully at least a stable 60. It doesn't have to be 4K in my opinion. I would be
Sure.
fine if the Switch Pro came out at 2K. The screen size, I would love a slightly larger screen, and then 60 frames a second. That's all I want out of it. So whatever it requires for that would be enough for
But
me.
the,
The
the
other
crazy thing is with this new Switch OLED, plugged into a dock, it's the same fucking system, right?
Right.
Correct. Yes.
These little
Correct.
changes are only handheld
Mhm.
changes.
And
so-
you know
Yeah.
what? I play 90% of my Switch docked, so that
See,
I
I
am not
don't.
getting this. There is no point in me getting this. It is a waste of money for me.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
But if there eventually
I
is going to be a Switch Pro, the other thing I want to think about is like what's going to happen to the Switch Lite, the handheld only version that's out there.
I mean, the Switch Lite, I think, is always going to be. There's always going to be probably a low, mid, high tier. Like they're eventually going to get to a point where they have like a low, mid, and high tier models, or just a low and a high tier. You know what I mean? That Lite is probably always going to exist, and it's probably eventually going to just become the Lite and then whatever the Pro is, or the Lite and now this OLED model. Like,
Yeah,
I don't think they're going to phase that out.
any hardware manufacturer like Nintendo or Microsoft or Sony is willing to do more than 2 models. I think that's just going to confuse the consumer way too much.
But to your point earlier, Chris Davis. Oh my God, Brad, why?
What?
To your point, to your point earlier about people not willing to pay the money, it's fucking Nintendo. Of course, people are willing to pay the money. Maybe not to the same extent as people would be. You know, I just think about the fucking Wii when that thing came out. When I worked at GameStop when that thing came out, people were like trying to bribe people behind the counter to get a cop to get. They're like, "I'll pay you $500 for a Wii right now." I was like, "Have you seen this?"
But that
thing?
was
It's
back in
really
like
not worth
2005,
that.
2006, 2007 when they were coming out
But
the
it's
GameCube
got-
and they were still hot shit.
Nintendo's brand is strong enough. Like people will pay it, especially if they have the games to back it up, which they do.
Whatever. We're getting
Sorry.
in the weeds on this.
Yeah, we are getting
Yeah.
into the weed. I do want to say, I wasn't necessarily like my immediate thought was like, okay, I can probably skip this, but then I started thinking about 2 things. One, my Switch. I don't know if this has happened to any of y'all. My Switch is starting like when I play it at all, but I notice it especially when I'm playing handheld. When I play handheld on my Switch, I can hear like mechanisms inside the thing. And it did not do that when I first got it. It sounds like it's struggling a little bit to
It doesn't
play
make any
games.
sense. There's not even like a hard drive in
Well,
there.
my assumption is it's like fans and stuff like that. There are some
Yeah.
moving parts, and just over time, and the thing is, like, it's just sitting there, so it collects dust, and that's my assumption.
Yeah, take
is
some
that,
compressed air to
dust
it.
has got. Maybe.
It's just I mean, I know it's not dying necessarily or it's not dead, so it doesn't totally justify the purchase. But at the same time, I also really like the look of it in white. So
Damn it, Nick.
I don't know. I might
I
take the plunge.
just want to see some restraint just once.
I'm not gonna buy an Xbox Series X anymore.
Yes, you are.
Yeah,
No,
you
I'm not.
are.
No, I'm not. At least not anytime soon. We'll talk about that later. But anyways, we need to move on. It's certainly this announcement was unexpected. I can see why they didn't announce it during E3 though. I think people would have lost their fucking minds if they actually announced that at E3 because it definitely was not like worth the hype, the build up that people, which is obviously not their fault. I feel like this is the internet being the internet has kind of built this thing up to being more than it actually is.
No, this
So
wasn't the internet, dude. That's everyone's talking shit about the fans and the fucking internet. Y'all wish this pro into existence and it wasn't real, so get fucked. Look, dude, people didn't start talking about the Switch Pro until reports were coming out
No,
that
no,
this
I
thing
get
even
that.
existed.
I get that,
It's
but
not
it's
our
also
fault.
happening right in the middle of a pandemic, and it's like there are chip shortages. Fucking just look at
No,
what
I
it's
get
like
it.
trying to get a graphics card right now, and it's like people when they hear the reports of what Nintendo was planning, and then they get attached to it and they run with it and they get excited and get hype, and Nintendo's like, we can't do that right now. We literally can't do it. So we're gonna do this instead. But the internet, the people when they hear that, they don't care about that. They just care about the immense disappointment they feel when they realize that's not what's happening. And this is all speculation too. That might not be the case, but part of you has to wonder if that's what's happening here. But anyways, like Nolan said, we're kind of getting into the weeds. We have some questions tonight. Nolan, do you have those ready to go?
Yeah, I do.
Wait,
These are questions from our.
Sorry, was there not one other quick news topic?
It'll probably come up in the questions.
Okay,
I think. If
okay.
not, it'll come up in my 4-player minute. It's not super new. I'm probably We'll get there, Brad. Let's answer some questions from our supporters on Patreon and Twitch. Nolan, take it away.
All right, first question this week. I don't know if this was highlighted in red for a reason. But
I think it was
I'll read
I
this one
highlighted the
first.
news topics in red, but
Okay, this is not
use
really
your
a
own
news topic.
discretion.
All right, well, I'll do this one anyway. With today being the last day of the Steam Summer Sale, what'd you all pick up? And do you have any last-minute recommendations? I'm pretty sure the Steam Summer Sale is actually over now.
It ended this morning.
I think it ended this morning, so technically it is the last day, but any of our recommendations are going to come in a bit too late.
Also, I don't know if this is me showing restraint. I didn't actually buy anything for the Steam Summer Sale, but I can't tell if that's because
I did.
I was restrained or if it's because all the stuff that was on sale that I want to play I already own because I had no restraint in the past.
I purchased,
like Nolan said earlier, I have a fuck ton of stuff in my library I've never touched.
Yeah. I purchased 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games. Actually, six.
Well, all right, hit us with that sweet list.
Meta Wolf Chaos, the enhanced edition of Metro Exodus, Strikers 1945 2, the Mega Man X Legacy Collection, Ancestors, the Humankind Odyssey, the one from
oh wow,
Why?
yeah, I've been wanting to play that for a while, but I finally got it.
Dude.
And I picked up Rogue Legacy.
Okay.
All right, so you got one good game. All right.
Yeah, dude, I don't mean to rant, but like, Chris Davis, what the fuck, dude?
What?
You're the biggest Xbox fan here. You're not going to deny that, right? You're the biggest Xbox fan
Go on,
here.
Brad. He can't
Finish
deny
your
it, so
statement.
go on.
Why don't you have Game Pass?
I don't.
It's crazy. It's crazy to me. You don't have Game Pass.
I don't.
I don't even have an Xbox.
Number one, I like owning my games. And number two,
So
I am not a fan of a lot of subscription-based services.
Okay, but like, there's so many indie games on there. Like, you're not gonna.
So hold on. To that point, Chris Davis, you could still play a game via Game Pass, and then at some point later on down the road, buy it.
Yeah.
Game Pass is a great way to try games out.
There's so many games to discover on there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there are, and one day I'll get to them. I'll probably purchase them directly.
I played Narita Boy this year because of Game Pass, among other things.
I mean, you bought that fucking monkey game. You don't have any idea if it's any good. Chances are,
I've heard mixed things about it, but I've heard it's been improved by patches.
But isn't that shit on Game Pass? Like, everything's on Game Pass, man.
Somebody in chat, confirm, is Ancestors, the Humankind Odyssey on
It's on
Game
something.
Pass?
I know I own it on something.
All right.
Pretty sure
that you didn't pay for.
Everything's on.
Let's move on. Next question this week from Joshua. Oh, I'm sorry, did I not read that? Was from Alex One Mr. Boy. Sorry. Next question this week from Joshua, also known as White Fang 48 from Boston, Massachusetts.
White Fang.
Sometimes we power through a game with a mediocre story by its gameplay, but not often by its story.
Wait, what?
Okay. What games have you played? Wow. Where the story kept you going, even though you hated the game's mechanics.
Brad's prom photo from 1989.
So I think what they're saying is a lot of the time the gameplay is what keeps us going, but where the opposite has been the case, where the gameplay was not that good, but you really enjoyed the story of the game.
Nier.
This is kind of a Nier's a good example. This is kind of a cop-out answer, and this is going to sound bad, and I'm not trying for it to sound bad. Because Silent Hill is one of my favorite franchises.
No, that's
ever.
a good answer.
But I've never powered through a Silent Hill game because I was like, "Ooh, that's fun." You know what I mean? The story and the atmosphere and the mood and just the environment is what I play Silent Hill for.
I'm kind of that way with the Yakuza games as well. I mean, there's aspects of the gameplay that I kind of enjoy, but like honestly, it's always been pretty mediocre. But the story and the side stories are so fucking good that I'll trudge through any Yakuza game because of it.
Well, I think that's the story of that entire franchise.
No, that's what I was gonna say. Was Yakuza was one for me, especially the older style, obviously before 7 Like a Dragon, because I just I couldn't ever really nail the mechanics. I wasn't a huge fan, but yes, obviously the sub stories and all of that stuff is definitely what drove me to play those games.
Ooh, I have an answer, and this is again gonna sound more egregious than I want it to, or more harsher than I want it to. But the Uncharted series,
Ooh, come
Okay.
on.
I don't really like. I mean, I've never been a huge fan of the combat. It does get better from game to game, and I think by the time I got to 4, I was I was kind of enjoying it. But like having recently played through that trilogy, I didn't. I was never like, ooh, I'm gonna pick this up and play it because I'm ready to get in more fucking gunfights. Um,
I
it was
thought it was
pure.
great since 2, honestly, but
No, two didn't do it. 2 didn't. 3 was where I really started to be like, okay, honestly, and I think Nolan agrees with me on this. 3 is way better than I remember it, and
No, that's definitely true.
Yeah.
I think I like 3 more than 2, from both a story and a gameplay perspective. But but still, even 4, which I adore, I was never really like into, like, definitely not into the combat the way I am with The Last of Us.
Like,
God damn it, Nolan!
I think 3. Oh, wow.
I hate you. I fucking hate you, Nolan.
I
Put
think
it down, Nolan.
I think Uncharted 3 got a bad public rap from how they addressed combat, because 2's felt so good. But I think the thing that 3 more appropriately would have gotten a bad rap on would be kind of the perception that it kind of retreads a lot of aspects of the previous games and doesn't really.
Wait, we're talking about Uncharted?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's incremental. Well, maybe
Alpha
not the jump
Protocol?
from maybe not the jump from 1 to 2, but definitely 2 to 3 to 4 are pretty incremental in combat. But yeah, Alpha Protocol is another good example for this question, although never played it myself. All right, next question, Nolan.
From the Drunken Merchant, what is your favorite flavor of salsa, and what level of spiciness do you prefer it at?
Spicy. Yeah, I
Yes.
like some spice.
I like to see a little spice. Are you talking about like medium spice? Or are you talking about like, or do you like to like, I need something to drink with this, or I feel like my
Brad, have you
can't feel my tongue.
been to T22?
Yeah.
Have
Is
you
that
got
the place
their
downtown?
Dude, their stuff's pretty spicy.
No, Tumble 22,
yeah.
they have a restaurant
I got
around,
the
right?
one. So I would normally always go. I never go for the hottest, but I usually do like the next down or whatever, because I'm pretty good at holding my spice level, and I don't want something that's like uncomfortable. But like this shit was way spicier than I thought it was going to be. Usually, a restaurant that's kind of made for white people, the spice levels are not as crazy as they claim. You got to be careful when you're eating like Indian food or something. Like you go to some like place that's not made for white people, and you got to be careful. But like there, I was really surprised by how spicy it was, and I was kind of like, fuck this.
Wait, what place is this?
Tumble
Tumble
22.
22. It's Nashville Hot Chicken. They have several locations.
Yeah, they're all over town now. They're pretty
That
good.
sounds good. That sounds good.
The Fuddruckers on 35 is now at Temple 22.
Yeah, but it's
Really?
also going to be a
Okay.
V313 eventually.
I like their mac and cheese.
They do have good mac and cheese.
Yeah.
Salsa, I do enjoy salsa. I prefer it to be chunky over smooth. Spice level, I would say that's very subjective. It's hard to say. I definitely am not anywhere near Brad's level. Probably I am not super spicy. I would say on a scale of like 1 to 10, give me like a 4.
So there's this brand of salsa that I get at the grocery store that I actually really, I'm fairly picky when it comes to my salsa, but there's this brand that has that's made the same. It's basically the same salsa, but they have one that's made with jalapenos and one that's made with serranos. And every time I get the serranos, I'm like, okay, this is pretty hot. There's feeling the tingly, like my tongue is going numb. Like this shit's hot. But the jalapenos, you never know what you're gonna get. Sometimes it's not fucking spicy at all. Other times I'm like, this tastes hotter than
Sounds
the
like that
goddamn
product has some
serranos.
quality control issues. Then that's weird.
You're not wrong. It's just, but like the underlying flavor is really good. But I also just discovered they were advertising some new salsa at HEB when I was there last time, and we decided to try it. And it's like this really nice blend of like the sweetness to it, because I forgot it has some kind of like fruit in it. I think it's part of it, so it has this nice sweet taste to it. But it's also really spicy, and I've been digging that a lot. I wish I remember what it was, but
Mild salsa, get the fuck out. Like, what's even the point? I hate
yeah,
it so much.
Yeah,
that
I
shit shouldn't
understand it.
exist.
My best friend since like the second grade, his family that has a local business where they make things like salsas and stuff like that. They make a really good queso, and they do a really good verde and they do a really good serrano.
I do like a good verde salsa. There's that place downtown in downtown Austin. Obviously, haven't been in quite some time, but it's literally just all salsas, right? And they have like the
Tears
the
of
heat
Joy.
scale.
Tears of Joy.
Yeah, Tears of Joy. I kind of want to go back there and just get some stuff.
I hope they survive COVID.
Well,
God, now I gotta look it up.
Moving on. Next
the weeds.
question from Negative Cosine. Describe the grossest thing you've had to throw out of your fridge.
Oh man, that it's always that one thing that you leave in there. And you're like, I'll do it later. It's fine. But like someday it gets to a point where if you put it off long enough, you can see it in the container, like it's like leftovers in the container. And you're like, I am now scared to open that container, so I'm just gonna leave it in there longer.
It's when the container starts like bulging, like there's a lot of pressure in it, or like the whatever it was has separated. Like it used to be like some sort of like solid product, but now there's like a layer of liquid or something like that. That's when it starts getting pretty bad and obviously super moldy.
We had just recent example. We had chopped up some like veggies for like snacking, like cucumbers and celery and carrots and stuff, whatever. And they were sitting in like a Tupperware container in our fridge. And at some point, you could, because it's clear, I could start to see like this like weird liquid kind of like building up at the bottom of it. I was like, that is officially gross. I'm not opening it. I'm scared to open it. It's gonna make me gag. So it stayed in there even longer than that. I probably should have just thrown it out at that point, but I didn't. When it starts to look bad, just rip the Band-Aid off, throw it out.
I think one of the worst things is when you go to get something, but it's not what you thought it was. Like if you go to pick up a tomato and all of a sudden it's just like blur, and it's just like a liquid
rolled apart in your hand. Oh,
yeah. All right, let's do one more question tonight. From Mr. Green Toast from Tejas. What was the best deal or haggle you got out of buying a game on the cheap?
Ooh,
Brad's gonna have a lot of these.
Y'all haggle on fucking video
I used to
games?
be kind of a game hunter, if you will. A good fucking deal. Oh man. Wait, you want to know one of my worst deals?
Yes, absolutely.
Is when I traded my copy of Symphony of the Night for a mud character.
Yikes.
Yeah.
A text-based mud?
A text-based
Damn.
mud. I got the
Chaos
character.
Blade?
He got my copy of Symphony of the Night. Now, granted, at the time, I had beaten Symphony of the Night like a million times, and I eventually, rebought it, of course. But man, it was a shade, and at the time, shades were crazy, man. They were broken. The best tanks in the game. Holy shit! Their blink ability, it was nuts.
I have a question. So this question just implies, I guess, like, are you talking about like going into like a used game store and like haggling with people there? Like,
I
what are we
found a copy of Intelligent Cube in an old Madden case. That was,
Wow.
and I brought it up there, and I wasn't gonna be a shithead about it, but he was like, "Fuck it, dude." He just scanned those like 49 cents. And got me a copy of Intelligent Cube, and this was like, I mean, finding PS1 games were almost impossible at the time, so it felt good.
Still, for me, my best one is probably, it's not a game, but it's a console. It's when I got my top loading NES.
Oh yeah,
because
I still got mine.
Those were rare, and I never had an NES, and that's when I worked at Game Crazy, and someone wanted to trade it in, and of course, the game store was like, "I can give you $15, and that's all I can give you." And he was like, "What? That's horrible. I'm gonna leave." And I was like, "Look, all I got's $20 on me. I'll give you 20." And he was like, "All right." So I gave him $20, and it's like pristine. It was like brand new. I mean, I still have it right over there. It's like, it looks like it's a brand new console, and so I was super hyped about that. And I haven't played it in a while, but it's still good.
So I guess a recent semi-recent purchase for me was I picked up Dino Crisis 2, I think last year, the year before that, on eBay for like
Right.
$10 or something like that. I don't know what has happened, but you go on eBay right now and Dino Crisis or 1 or 2, you can't find them for anything less than $100 a disc.
It's everything right now. It's everything that right now. It happens to every generation of games, but it ages up, right? So like the people who grew up playing those games now are adults and have a shit ton of money, right? So games from that era are just skyrocketing in price. Eventually it's going to start happening to PS2 games and stuff. Eventually it's going to happen to fucking 360 games. But right now it's that late 90s era that's like all that shit is getting out of control. But
Right.
whatever. Just get a Vita and download.
I just want to point out that a minute ago, sorry, this is kind of related, but Nolan was like, it's right. He was pointing to his system. He's like, it's right back there. It looks like a brand new system. And for a split second, I was like, wait, that's not Nolan's room. Like, that background there is not real. And I was like looking. I was like, where's he pointing?
I flipped my house, Nick.
Yeah, you did a great job. Can't even tell.
Thank you.
All right, well, guys, thank you so much for your questions. Again, if you're a Twitch subscriber or a Patreon supporter, you can submit questions. You'll also you can access the supporters channel in Discord by connecting your Discord or your Twitch or Patreon account to Discord at discord.gg/4player. The form for submitting questions is pinned in that channel. Of course, we don't answer all the questions every week, and we don't answer them in a particular order. So if you didn't hear your question tonight, we will get to it eventually. We kind of bounce around. But anyways, now let's wrap up the show as we always do with the 4-player minute. Nolan, that's not working very well with your green screen.
I can fix it.
So we're gonna wrap up with the 4-player minute. So Brad, you're gonna lead with with your hype, thank you, fuck you, and sweat, or any combination thereof.
All right, I'll start with my hype. I watched the Sony State of Play, which didn't really have a lot of like new shit or whatever.
That was pretty cringy.
Cringy,
dude. Like so many of the trailers they showed today had like the worst budget narrator. It was so.
Oh, okay.
So bad.
Sure, sorry. Whatever. But anyways, my hype was they showed yet another trailer for Lost Judgment. I don't know if y'all watched that trailer. It's looking so sick.
Yeah.
No, it does look good.
Skateboard mode?
Dude, there's skateboarding. There's like fucking
you walk
racing.
A dog?
It looks absolutely absurd. I can't fucking wait. Comes out in September. Worldwide launch. I can't wait. Lost Judgment's looking great. My sweat is probably Deathloop, though. I'm still not sold. I mean, I'm sold because it's an arcane game, right? But I'm not sold on.
I think this footage they rolled today.
It sounds
what sold me.
But it sounds like one big Hitman level, and then what? You're just done with the game.
But
a game where you have 8 targets, and it sounds a lot like Prey Moon Crash, which was a cool idea, but not something you really played all that much of, right?
It sounds like one big Hitman level, but so the problem I always had with Hitman, the reason why I keep starting and then stopping, and you've heard me talk about this, is that I feel like I'm playing the game wrong every time I fail in Hitman, and it makes me feel like shit, so I stop. This kind of gets around that because it works the failure into like the actual like premise and the narrative. Like you play until you die, and the loop starts over again.
I could
so it's about learning how to master the loop.
Fuck it up. I mean, granted, yeah, you're gonna die and you're gonna start over. It's funny because that's all baked into the premise, right? That's also how you could be playing Hitman, but it's not baked into the premise, and you can't.
It seems like a dumb thing. It seems I can't handle it. It seems like a dumb thing, but I can't.
It doesn't just seem like a dumb thing.
No,
I'm fucking with you, Nick. I'm fucking with you. I don't know.
Today was the first time that I watched footage of this game and was like, I am definitely on board for this, because now I feel like I actually
watched some of the gameplay that's been out there.
No, but there always seemed to they've been kind of wishy-washy about saying what it actually is and how it's structured and what the general flow of the game is. And now I feel like I've watched a chunk of it. I've heard them talk about it, and I have a full picture.
My sweat is not just that it's not that I don't think I'm gonna like it. I trust Arcane. They make good fucking games. My sweat is that I don't think this is gonna like be like the next big thing. I'm a little worried about how this thing's gonna do. Right? I
I
don't.
mean, you're
People they've been talking about Deathloop for so fucking long, and people just
hey,
seem to
here's the
kind of
thing.
shrug every time it comes up.
Prey wasn't the next big thing.
Sure, it wasn't, but it was
Dishonored, even
incredible.
I'm still surprised Dishonored got a sequel,
But those
and
games were
because
immediately like appealing to me. This game has
you
to
to
prove
you, but
itself.
I don't think any of them sold particularly like well, but for
Well,
in the grand scheme of things,
I don't think this game. I think this game is being set up to maybe
to
do
fail.
to not to fail. Like if this game is mildly successful, it's only going to be because I feel like it's going to be because the few people who do own PS5s really want to buy something new, and this is one of those things. I think
Sure.
Returnal was successful because of that same reason, right?
No, yeah,
But
definitely.
that's fine. If it gets people playing a good game, then that's fine. I just hope it's a good game.
I mean, are you
My
worried
fuck
about
you.
the future of Arcane? Because they've still got Redfall coming. I mean, they're going to be
I
good
mean,
for a
they've
while.
got
Okay, but that's a different studio within Arcane, and you know this is they're owned by Microsoft now, so you know
they've got the money. I
Microsoft can
mean,
be like, all you guys just go help that other fucking game because we own you. Go fuck yourselves. I don't know. I worry. I worry more about Tango to be honest, but we'll see. Um, my fuck you for this week. I just wrote Chris Davis, and I didn't write why. But I know I mean it. I know I mean it,
Fuck
but
you
I
to
can't
me,
remember why
the
I wrote.
person who played Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Okay. I remember what it is. Fuck you, Chris Davis, because you've been going on and on in Discord about, oh, great. Brian's going to be talking about Monster Hunter again. Oh, earlier tonight, I brought up stories too, and you're like, oh, more fucking Monster Hunter. We've been talking about it all year.
We
Listen,
have.
motherfucker. Monster Hunter Stories 2, which by the way, David texted me today. He didn't realize Monster Hunter Stories 2 was a turn-based JRPG. He just thought it was like Monster Hunter for kids with a more kiddie art style, but it's not. It's like it's a turn-based, Pokemon style game. And just because I talked a lot about Rise doesn't mean it has anything to do with this fucking game. So don't give me shit about talking about Stories 2. Completely different game, completely different series, completely different genre. Go fuck yourself, Chris Davis.
If we can go more than 4 shows in a row without talking about Monster Hunter, I will stop complaining.
And I don't even think it's been that bad, all the Rise conversation. I talked about it when it came out. We did the big updates, which there was only 2. So go fuck yourself.
those are also good conversations.
Yeah, they were good conversations, Chris Davis. Maybe you should play a Monster Hunter game.
No, I'm good.
Kaiju loving motherfucker can't even go kill a goddamn Glavenus or something. What's wrong with you?
No, I'm
It's
good.
basically a Godzilla with a sword tail. My thank you for this week
enough. No, sorry.
goes to Neebs. I don't know who the fuck Neebs is. I don't know why he rated our channel, but thanks, buddy. Maybe good. I mean, I can't say, hey, Neebs, he's good people. He might not be. Who knows? Who knows what the fuck he's saying over in his channel? But thanks for the raid, buddy. Seem like you're all right.
Thank Fraham for pointing them out to him.
Oh,
Thanks, Fraham.
thanks for him.
All right. Thank you, Brad. Chris Davis, why don't you go next?
Okay. So I guess my hype this week is for another game that also got announced this week, but y'all are gonna roll your eyes at. The developer Tyon, the guys who did the Terminator
Square.
Resistance game that was better than it should have been, have announced a fucking RoboCop game. And based on the work they put into Terminator Resistance, I am all for this.
The only way I want to play this
game,
game,
perfect franchise for a game, and this I am pumped. I am looking.
The only way I would play this is if it's based off of that video that we watched of the guys getting their dick shut off by RoboCop.
Oh, I forget what that's called, but you know what,
man, I haven't laughed that hard in a long time.
I want I don't know what this game is going to be. And it's going to be 2 years before it comes out, but I want to play this. This sounds great. My sweat is for Castlevania Rondo of Blood. So I beat
You actually
Castlevania
gonna
Symphony
play that?
Night, and I enjoyed my time overall with it, and I really liked Bloodstained. So I thought about playing Rondo of Blood, but I'm hesitant because
It sucks.
I just played a lot of Castlevania, and I feel like this is something that needs a lot of air. It needs to breathe for a while before
That's how I
jump
feel
back
about
in.
Monster Hunter.
Rondo of
That's-
Blood is a completely different game than Symphony of the Night, so you don't have to worry about it feeling similar. And you couldn't do it anyways, bitch.
Whoa.
I'll buy you a hot dog if you play through Rondo of Blood.
I think that goes for any of us here, though. Maybe not Nolan. I feel like Nolan would probably just.
Is
Nolan's
it
really good at
open
video
world?
games.
Is
I
it
don't
level
think Nolan
based? Like,
could do
what
it
is
either.
it?
Oh, now Nolan's like, I'm gonna play Rondo of Blood, bitch. That's the. See his ears perk up. Well, not really. He's
First off, I
headphones on, but-
have played Rondo of Blood. I never finished it,
Damn.
but I have played it. So
Peer
Noted.
pressure.
All right, Chris Davis, keep going.
All right. I have a thank you / second hype to the general modding community out there, because they're always creating really cool shit. And one of the things that was shown off the other day in a trailer was a total conversion of X-Wing Alliance for TIE Fighter. They basically remake TIE Fighter, which is in my top 10 games of all time, and put on a beautiful coat of paint and just enhance like everything. And it's built not just for fucking multiplayer, it's built for like all 140 missions of TIE Fighter and its 2 expansions. Like, that is some
Damn.
fucking substantial shit.
That's some
Um,
dedication right there.
So I am seriously thinking about installing X-Wing Alliance and getting this mod going, because it looks really good. I'm
Do it.
thankful for that. And my fuck you this week is probably going to go to something Nick's going to mention in his 4-player minute, but fuck you, Ubisoft. You can't bring yourself to do another fucking Splinter Cell game. You've basically killed the fucking Clancy franchise, but you're okay with creating a games as a service Assassin's Creed game. Fuck you.
Yes.
Just fuck
Yes.
you.
This is why I hate going last. Maybe I'm going to start letting myself go earlier than this.
Just
Every week.
Just fuck
Every
you, Ubisoft. You can go. There are places I can tell you to go do things with yourself.
Oh,
I am coming at it from a different angle, but yes.
I don't think this is on anybody's list, but did y'all see the director's cut of
Death Stranding.
Death Stranding.
Death Stranding? They're adding some cool shit in there that kind of reminds me of Metal Gear Solid 5, like all the cool, like, gadgetry and stuff.
they are adding quite a bit to it. It does look really interesting,
I've
like
not played that
races and
game,
other
so
things.
it kind of makes me want to play it.
Well,
Yeah.
the
Like a
good thing
fucking
is that if
walker
you
that you
own the
can sit
PS4
on
version,
and-
it's just a $10 upgrade to the PS5.
I do have the PS4 version.
Well, then all you got to
Seems
spend
like
is
a
$10
no-brainer.
then.
Kind of like how I only needed to spend $10 to upgrade on the Ghost of Tsushima, but I didn't. I'm never mind. I'm doing the bad thing.
Yes,
Nolan,
up?
your turn.
All right, my 4-player minute starts now. My hype is actually going to be for Skyward Sword. It comes out next week. I've kind of been on a Zelda hype lately. I've never played Skyward Sword. So this will be my first chance at one of the major Zelda titles I've never played.
Oh wow, man.
My
luck.
sweat, yeah, we'll see. My sweat is going to go to my urge to play older games. That's kind of all I've been lately. I've not been playing many new games at all, and I've been playing Minish Cap. I've been having an urge lately to play some Frostpunk, Monster Train. Even during this podcast, we started talking about Don't Starve, and I'm like, man, like Don't Starve is such a good game. Like, let me kind of maybe go back to that. I've just been having urges to just play old games.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I know. So, Brad, having fun over
Sorry.
there?
I apologize.
My thank you is actually going to go to Brace Yourselves Games. Loved what I played Adventures of Titan. Obviously, I've always been a fan of them since Crypt of the Necrodancer.
It's Brace Yourself Games.
Yeah,
I have the early access for Phantom Brigade. I'm waiting for that to.
Phantom Brigade.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
that's the
waiting for
next
it to
one.
get out of early
Yes.
access.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they're great. And then my fuck you is going to go to Nintendo, specifically for this OLED Switch. Like, I think it's Brad. You need to chill over there.
Sorry,
I
sorry.
think it's just kind of silly that they're doing it. I get it. I understand like some reasons behind it, but I mean, leading up to Breath of the Wild 2, I was hoping to be able to play that on a new Switch, but I don't think that's going to actually happen now. And
Maybe
so
it'll be
I'm
better
gonna.
optimized when Breath of the Wild 2 comes out. I mean, maybe that's a lot
Maybe.
to hope for, but
We'll see.
we'll
Anyway,
see.
that's my 4 player minute.
All right, thank you. My 4 player minute starts now. I'm going to start with my thank you. I'm sending my thank you to Nolan, Brad, Chris Davis, Crispy for that surprise birthday cameo from
Also,
Sam
Ed.
Witwer last
I
week.
finally went back and watched the archive.
Dude,
Oh yeah.
I did not see that coming, and holy shit, kind of blew me away. Also, I should obviously include Sam Witwer in the thank you as well, because not only did he, do the birthday wit, I feel like he went pretty far with it, and told a very
Yeah,
personalized message and a personalized story, and that was really, really,
I feel
really,
like you
really
don't
cool.
usually. I don't think you feel like you don't usually get that much from someone on camera. Either that, or
Mm-mm.
like the little snippets they show you are just like edited, maybe.
Yeah,
But that seemed like a lot.
he
That
told like
was
a
very
5 minute
nice.
story about the development of Days Gone, and
I wonder
that
if
was
he
super,
felt
super
bad.
awesome.
I wonder if he felt bad about being late, right? Because wasn't he like late?
Not
Oh yeah,
technically.
Oh,
He was last minute. He snuck it under the wire, but he was
yeah,
not late.
gotcha.
I will
but
also add, Nick, that Ed and Jaeger were both in on it too. So
awesome. Well, thank you all of you guys for putting that together. That was like an incredible surprise, and thank you Sam Witwer for that. As a fan of Days Gone, it was an awesome story. As a fan of Dexter, he has been on Dexter, so I call that a win as well. Uh,
And your
so
favorite Star Wars game?
he was also in Smallville, but he was also in Star. It's pretty. Yeah, it was all around. It was really, really neat, and it was really nice. And serious, thank you guys.
Well,
Love you
well,
guys.
if anyone
Um,
listening to this wants to actually go watch that, I did include it at the very end of our YouTube video for last week.
Oh, awesome! Thank you. I also tweeted it on. I put it on my own YouTube channel and uploaded the video myself. So it's on my Twitter account at your host Nick. You can check it out there too. But anyways, thank you guys. My hype this week goes to. I got a new fucking graphics card, baby. I won one of those new egg shuffles. I'm getting my
nice.
my 3070 Ti is arriving tomorrow. I have no idea how to install it, but I'm gonna watch some videos. I'm probably gonna call Nolan and Chris
Wait,
Davis, and they're gonna walk me through it.
do you know if your case like it does it fit?
I have Nick's entire setup on PC Part Picker, and it says everything's compatible. So
I
I
literally
believe
messaged
the
Nolan
length
because
it
I
should
knew
be
that.
okay.
I was
Yeah,
like, Nolan, quick, will this work in my thing? And I was like, he'll have
yeah,
that shit faster than I can look it up. So he did it.
yeah.
So yeah, it's not a 3080 Ti. I was literally at the point where I was like, I'm going for a 3070 or 3080, any of those models. I don't even care. Whichever one becomes available first, I don't care. I'm running a 1070 right now, and I want to play. I want to go back to Red Dead Redemption 2 so badly, but I've been kind of waiting because I know I just want to make it look better and run better before I really get back into it. So I'm excited to be able to do that finally. My fuck you for the week. Yes, Chris Davis does go to Ubisoft
Okay.
for
Okay.
the Assassin's Creed Infinite thing, coming at it from a slightly different angle. I get it. I fucking get it. But it's just I don't. It's just, I can already feel it. It's going to be one of those things where it's like I'm not really going to get into it. I've tried before with these live service games. I never really make it that far. I never really get committed to them. And for someone who's like invested so much time and energy and love into Assassin's Creed over the years, I can't help but feel this is just like, you know, maybe locking me out of appreciating the series, at least in the way that I've come to appreciate it over the years. But who knows? I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. If it looks awesome, then whatever. But right now, I'm firmly planted in the fuck you, Ubisoft camp for that. And my sweat is going to be for the second half of Returnal. That first half was a doozy. Like I said, 28 hours to get through the first quote unquote half of the game. I've been told that The second half will move a lot faster just because by the time you get there, you're getting better stuff and you're better at the game. But man, I'm not very good at these games to begin with, so I really hope this is not going to turn into a 60-hour fucking game for me. But I'm committed. I'm going to do it. I'm just a little worried about it because I do love that game almost as much as I hate it. Maybe I should say I hate it almost as much as I love it, because I think I mostly love it, but that's splitting hairs. Anyways, that's a wrap on our show this week, guys. Thank you for everyone who tuned in. If you want to find all of our other episodes, you can go to 4playernetwork.com. You can find us on all the major podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all that shit. We're everywhere. Just look up 4Player Podcast. If you're new, you can join us in Discord at discord.gg/4player. Make sure you pop into the introductions channel. Introduce yourself. We'd love to hear from you. And of course, if you want to support us financially, we were recently able to upgrade all of our mics and get new arms and pop screens and all that good shit. Thanks to you guys on Patreon and Twitch. So we really appreciate you. But for now, stay safe, play video games, have fun, be good to each other. We'll see you guys next Thursday for another episode. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.